thunder shakes the earth, voices of the martyrs call. The dawn of the church is born. From Jerusalem streets, a flame ignites in the hearts of men. Peter's voice bold, unbroken, preaching the word again and again. From Pentecost, the Spirit descends, a torrent of power to loose and bind. The lame shall walk, the blind shall see, the light of Christ for all mankind. Glory for the righteous, the faithful sail, the gates of Hades will not prevail. Through trials and heresies, triumph over lies. The Orthodox succeed, to heretics demise. The truth of the word continues to rise. The Arians rise with corrupted creed, denying the sun, sowing bad seed. Homoousios, the banner unfurled. Alexander Athanasius, teach the world. Eunomius, Macedonius, dimmed by doubt. Constantinople, cast all of them out. The Cappadocians rose to fight. Trinity, three in one, let there be light. Glory for the righteous, the faithful sail. The gates of Hades will not prevail. Through trials and heresies, triumph over lies. The Orthodox succeed, to heretics demise. The truth of the word continues to rise. Nestorius seeks to divide the law, but Cyril stands with strength restored. One person of Christ, the autochthos crowned. The voice of truth shall resound. Two natures, divine and man, in Christ united, the eternal plan. Leo's tome, the faithful cheer, the church stands strong forever clear. Glory for the righteous, the faithful sail. The gates of Hades will not prevail. Through trials and heresies, triumph over lies. The Orthodox succeed, to heretics demise. The truth of the word continues to rise. False teachings sway the unfaithful. Vigilius repents and is grateful. Christ has two wills and two energies, Maximos and Agatho, eternal memory. Icons raise, the faithful sing, the image of Christ, a holy thing. Honor the saints.
Greetings, everybody. We're a little late, but as you can see, I have a special guest on with me today, the great Father Deacon, Dr. Ananias.
Hello. I hope it's working. Lord, have mercy. These tech problems. So you'll see from my end, I'm trying to stream it, but I'm using Streamlabs and it won't let me sign into the chat, and then I've got to do a display capture, so forgive me. I won't be able to type in chats, but thank you so much, Alex, for having me, and long time no see and talk.
Yeah, well, the last time I think it was on Cleve Stream, right?
That's
when we
right,
had that
yeah.
that big crossover episode. But let's talk about like who we are dealing with here. First of all, like what is going on? Is there an Orthodox civil war? No, absolutely not. Not even close. I clickbaited you guys. It's a small group of online only, mostly anonymous people that for all intents and purposes, seeking to subvert many of the clergy that are front-facing, many of the lay apologists that are front-facing, and they rely on like really nasty and malicious tactics. Not only that, they are wrong on virtually everything that they are talking about. So the first thing I wanted to share here was something Jay posted, like just recently.
I'm glad you found
Yeah. So here we have a screenshot from a Latinizer Discord of somebody, parodying Jay, I guess, if we're going to be generous with this. But basically, they have death threats against Jay in their servers. The guy says, guys, I'm going to unalive, but he uses the actual word. I'm going to unalive Jay Dyer. I doxed him. Now let's go through some other tweets here so we can see exactly who we're dealing with. Just give me a second and I'll share it. Thanks for bearing with me, chat.
I like the St. Peter's in the background, by the way.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
There's a lot in that. Here's something from one of their main guys. It says, I'm tired of the gaslighting from fence sitters like Luigi and others. People who deny Christ's atonement, deny his Eucharist, and deny his baptism are not Orthodox or Christian. And when they say that, they're talking about their version of penal substitutionary atonement, which I don't know if any of you guys were on Nikolai and Korea's stream the other day, or I got to talk to one of these guys, Ruckus, I think is his name, who I asked him a very simple question. What is the atonement? And he couldn't tell me. And in the definition that he did end up giving me, he limited it to an exchange on the cross, which we can go over later, is anathematized in the Synodicon. You can't do that. It's the entire economy of his incarnation and his death on the cross and his resurrection and his ascension at the right hand of the Father. It's the entire economy of the incarnation. Here's another one. Yes, because I actually think what I call the modernist position is heretical and anti-Christian, that they have no brotherhood with me. I'm able to admit it. So you'll see in some of these tweets when they're calling you modernist, this is what they mean when they say modernist. They think that not only are you not a Christian, they think you're anti-Christian. They think you're anti-Christ if you disagree with what they're teaching. And they think that you're heretical. Here's another one. Deniers and distorters of the atonement of Christ aren't Christian or Orthodox. Neither are you the one to yell false witness when you were yelling, or when you were telling people on here yesterday that Subdeacon Damascene is a uniate. If you deny the reality of the fall and of Christ's saving sacrifice, you are not a Christian, let alone Orthodox. Word is that Sorin, Stephen DeYoung, he doesn't even give him his title, Father Stephen DeYoung, and Idol Killer.
They all do that. They don't address me or any of the other priests by their clerical titles, which tells you everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
They don't believe in they're Protestants. They don't believe in the sacerdotal order of the priesthood.
Yes, they have a right of private judgment to patristics and to the saints. That's how they operate. But here he says, word is that Sorin, Father Stephen, and Idol Killer are literally arguing that we don't have concupiscence, which we never said. None of us ever said that. Not even Idol Killer, who's not an Orthodox Christian. With the latter, who he's inquiring, though. So, I mean, the idea of including him in this stuff is like we're hoping to get him to take that extra step, right? It's a form of interpersonal evangelism. But he says, with the latter arguing that we are made sinful only through our environment, I don't think Warren has ever said that. That is literally the Pelagian position. I'm telling you, these people are not Christians. And who are these people? Me, Father Stephen. They think that we are not Christians. All of you in the chat that are following the teachings of Father Deacon, that agree with Jay, that agree with me, they think you are not Christians. These are not good, generous people. Here he is saying that Father Stephen is an open theist. Here's one say, this is a comment directed at Father Deacon from this Krish guy. The Christians go to the Matins, Denia of Holy Thursday this evening. They do not walk in the way of sinners, nor will they sit in the council of the unfaithful. Saying this towards Father Deacon Ananias, saying that he is walking in the way of sinners, saying that he is sitting in the council of the unfaithful. Here he says about Father Deacon Ananias, you don't impress me like you do these kids you're feeding that green and dry nonsense to, as if this person knows so much. Obviously, this is somebody who's lady. I've been Orthodox since back when you hadn't even heard that the Orthodox Church existed. This is what he's saying to Father Deacon, which... yeah. Which, ironically, I posted this on my Twitter. Remember that catechism that they love referencing so much, the Catechism of St. Peter Mogila?
Hold on, I'm putting my headphones on because everybody's complaining. I've got about every single time I get audiotistic people in my chat complaining about something. So, 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. Testing.
Oh,
Oh, I cannot hear you now, Father Deacon.
Oh, no, really?
I cannot hear you.
How about now? No?
It says you're muted. Governor says FDA is a national treasure. Yes, indeed, he is.
Nanu. How about now?
I heard you for a second, and then now I can't hear you anymore.
No more? Oh. There's something about... How about now?
Yes? It says you're muted.
Okay, I don't know what to do, guys. It's the way of it.
It is what it is. If you want Father Deacon, I can give you the playback and you can re-upload.
Oh, hold on a second. I know how to do it. How about this? I'll put audio output down. They were just complaining about
echo.
Yeah, it's like there are a bunch of Israelites in my chat complaining about something. Echoes that I'm too soft compared to. It says Alex in his chat can't hear. Oh, all right. Let's just go. Forgive me. I get, my EDD. Gets a bad
yeah. I know it through my own experience as well. So anyway, you guys saw that guy Krish who was talking about a Father Deacon saying like all those things that is like speaking extremely disrespectfully and condescendingly to him. Well, here is straight from the Catechism of St. Peter Mogila. It says, the third precept, talking about different precepts in the church, is that we respect all spiritual persons with all due reverence as the ministers of God set apart who pray to God for us. It is therefore unlawful for lay persons to meddle with and thrust themselves into spiritual matters. Right. Well, they might say, Alex, well, why do you thrust yourself into spiritual matters? I have a blessing, which is a very restricted, small circle of literally just like dogmatics. Not any spiritual issues. The idea is that in talking to clergy this way, not only is he violating the Catechism of St. Peter Mogila, he's also violating the Bible, which says that those who serve at the altar, that they're worthy of double honor. So massively hypocritical from these guys. They don't think we're Christians. And I didn't even show you the worst of it. There's utterly vulgar, degenerate, sexual deviancy going on within these groups, within these discords. It has to do with furries, which we all know this is connected to sexual degeneracy.
And by the way, I watch all these like crime shows on TV, and you know, they bring in these like profilers, these, right, and they do profiles. You know, the people that actually act like this are homosexuals. Extremely. I always find it funny that the leftoids are always like, I know some homos and they're the nicest people. It's like, they're not the nicest people. It's all fake. They're some of the most vicious, backstabbing, vindictive. And I'm like, so we could start bringing in some psychological profilers, and this is homo behavior. Like, I'm not kidding. I know you guys are going to laugh in the chat, but I'm telling you, this is exactly how civic sodomites act.
Yeah. You have a super chat, $5 from Cool Dude. Thank you very much. Guys, don't forget to like the stream, comment, share, you know, all that stuff. Cool Dude says for $5, Latinizers, more like laymanizers. Yeah, that is the group that we are talking about, if I didn't make that clear. They called them, well, I don't know if they were self-proclaimed Latinizers or if somebody dubbed that on them, but I wouldn't even give them that much, because who doubts that the West, more or less, for the first 1,000 years, was Orthodox, right? Who doubts that? So I wouldn't even say that. I'd just say they're crypto-Protestants. They're LARPing as Orthodox, trying to be Protestants, exercising some odd right of private judgment over the words of the saints, right? $10 from Alexander Kane. Thank you very much. Just wanted to show some Holy Week love. Thank you both for the stream. Well, thank you, Alexander Kane. I appreciate that. I'm going to give these guys a eagle caw. And how about an exegitis?
Theologian. They talk about their hermeneutics and they talk about their exegitis. Sounds like a bunch of diseases, hermeneutics and exegitis.
That's from Pastor Nathan Rager. He's from the IFB. He's got a bunch of sound clips like that are really funny. But yeah, Father Deacon, what is the thing that sticks out to you the most about this behavior, about these guys that we are encountering anonymously online? Which I might add, most of them are anonymous, like 99.999% of them. Maybe a few of them have put their face to their ideas, but in my mind, they're doing this intentionally in order to circumvent any sort of ecclesial accountability or any accountability at all. Because otherwise, you know, like if I mess up, you know, I said something maybe not totally accurate in a video regarding Saint Isaac the Syrian. I said that he was outside the visible church. You know what happens 2 seconds later after I post that video? I got a text from Father Peter here saying, Alex, that was not exactly totally correct. You missed some nuances in there. You know, there were some periods of time where, at least with the Patriarchate in Constantinople, the Church of the East was in good standing for short periods of time, you know. So then I had to make a stream nuancing that view, right? There's some form of accountability so that we don't say anything dumb. But these people don't have that. I mean, Father Deacon, what's your take here?
Who was I talking to yesterday about this? Anyways, I don't remember if it was my godfather or one of my godsons. Oh, it was my godson. Because I talked to both yesterday. So I think there's a couple different things kind of going on that enables and allows this to happen. So I'm Gen X. And, dude, I've seriously got to shut these chats off. They're like, audio's bad again. Anyways, you guys are just going to have to deal with it. If I got to deal with it, you got to deal with it. It says it's dropping back and forth. I don't know what to tell these people. So I was thinking about, we were bullied there was no tone policing. There were no... Great. See, this is... I stop listening to... Two things you don't do. Don't get your theology from Lady, and don't get your audio video commentary. And yeah, okay.
These might be from my stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, I've talked to Jay and others and friends, especially who or Gen X, and I'm like, I told my students this the other day. I'm like, can you imagine growing up in the time that I did, where like there's nothing you could say that offended somebody? And my students are like, no, I can't imagine. I'm like, of course you can't. I'm like, it was a really awesome kind of world. And, you know, I'm not encouraging bullying or something like that. Obviously, there was times it probably went too far. But what we learned is we learned certain kind of virtues, conflict resolution. And we learned that if you pop your mouth off, like, and say, you know, whatever, you get dealt with. And you learned proper boundaries. You actually learn social etiquette. And so, you know, unfortunately, I think for a lot of the Zoomers and even millennials, is they didn't have that. And so then you have the internet, which, as you'd said, provides this anonymity. Also, the type of parenting, right? We got lickings growing up. As I've said so many times with these people, I'm like, this is what happens when you don't give lickings to your kids. Is they grow up dark triad traits, sociopathic, spoiled little brats that think they can get away with everything. And they're narcissists too. That's part of the dark triad traits. And so combine that with the internet and anonymity and stuff like this, and it's just downsides to the internet too. It's like now degrees and credentials and hard work doesn't actually matter, because everybody has a PhD online, right? Everybody's an expert. It's the great, you know, equalizer.
Well, it's a part of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where they have familiarity with a topic, and they assume that familiarity is enough to make up for expertise. And there's a conflation between familiarity and expertise. And as in Jay's terms, it breeds suds. It's a bunch of suds.
Yes.
I think they know what they're talking about, and they don't.
And, you know, I was talking to my godfather about this too, that I still think there's more positive than there are drawbacks with debates. But it's getting pretty close where I'm like, oh man, I don't even know if it's worth it. Because here's my take on, and this all kind of ties into the kind of general ethos and environment that produces these type of goblins and the scenarios that we're seeing is, first of all, in antiquity, the public who was viewing the debates were educated. I'm not saying the entire public was, but those who went to debates. Most people today are retarded, intellectually, emotionally, and that's a great word, by the way. They're literally stunted in their education or emotional.
In the dictionary sense of the term, like
yes,
underdeveloped.
Right. I'm not making fun of actual people with, you know, disabilities, but people that are emotionally or intellectually stunted, and are accountable themselves for that. So they don't actually know what's going on in debates. Then what do you have? Well, because you have the internet, right? Everybody can go do debates now. Everybody has a YouTube channel, and it's all, and then we live in a consumerist entertainment society, right?
Yeah.
So it all just becomes like sports ball. You know, my favorite sports ball team, and I root for them. You know, and even I think, you know, it's too bad, but even on our side too, I've seen what people have made. I've been doing debates for 25 years, and and engaged in this stuff, and I've been trained. I know when our size messes up on something, and I'm not going to be like, oh, no. But that's kind of the way that it is, right?
Yeah.
And so I think all of that kind of goes into it. Like everybody, nobody actually wants to work hard, get the education, be mentored, be under somebody, right? That's the other thing, is kind of a narcissist. So I think all of these people want to get to the top. They're narcissistic. They see, and I've told people one of the worst things you can do spiritually, compare yourself to other people. I remember when I first started in academia, I did that. I was miserable. I was like, I just constantly felt bad about myself because I wasn't publishing that. Well, look at this guy. Like, how did he write that many papers? And why
he has so many citations? Everybody's citing his stuff. Why is nobody citing my stuff? Yeah.
And then what that turns into is envy. Then it turns into, because the demons have set things up like that, right? Like the demons are made you look, right? Look over here. Look over. They're constantly distracting you. And so the first thing you do is, well, look at that guy. Look how awesome of an academic. I'm just using academia because that's
right as an example, yeah.
But it could be anything. Well, look at that guy. Obviously, his work's much better than you. Why are you, And then you start looking at it, and then you're inside your head, and then you start having envy, and the envy turns into resentment, and then hatred. That's what that's what I think. The entire kind of thing that I laid out with, you weren't given lickings by your parents, and you should, we should call their parents up and be like,
a lot of them are 14. When I have these X spaces, one of the first things I do is I ask them, like, are you over 18? And many of them don't want to answer that question, which is shocking. I'm like, what are you doing here at all talking about this stuff? You're not even an adult. You're still a child. Like, so what are you doing here?
One of these guys arguing, they need spankings. Like, they should be taken out in public and given a spanking. And what does Father Stephen DeYoung says? He's like, they deserve to be shamed. He's saltier than I am. He's a priest after my own heart. I love him. And I was like, wow. So, what was I going to say? I got distracted with
they need lickings.
Oh, so I saw one of these guys, these children, arguing with Nicholas Acria, J.Y. Lewis. And they're like, what does age have to do with knowledge? And I was about ready to jump in and be like, everything. The reason why you're making mistakes is because you're young. And so what do they always do? Well, St. Athanasius was young too. It's like, he's a saint.
You're not Saint Athanasius, dude.
And also,
kind of delusion.
They had the Library of Alexandria, and you don't.
That's a good point. Well, and also the mentorship of Saint Alexander of Alexandria before him.
Exactly. Yeah. Who I almost chose as my saint name, Alexander, because he's a patron saint and Athanasius philosophers.
Yes.
But
I have Saint Alexander as my patron.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
But the thing is, here's the other thing I want to add too. How did we get here? I think from the start of the 80s, they've been pushing kids know best, starting with Scooby-Doo, Goonies. Give me some other ones.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, well, all of those, I agree.
All the adults are the dummies, and
the kids have to save the day.
The kids have to save the day. It's all over. Like, Jay and I went through and we're like counting all the examples. And then, so is it any shocker that we have Lord of the Flies?
Race to the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the kids are now leading us. And politically, we see this, kids are often used as They did it for the Koof too. Remember, they put forward the kids.
Yeah.
Kids will teach it out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah, they actually bought into that.
Every kid got what do they call that? Participation awards.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Participation
special.
trophies.
We literally built these monsters, and my generation is probably primarily responsible for that. But I think that's kind of what's going on, is that there's envy and hatred, and I can pick up on it right away before they even start getting into too much stuff. There's a demonic energy behind it.
Absolutely,
an energy of hatred, and they don't care about the truth. And we'll talk about some more about. We talked about them as Latinizers, but really, if I could talk about the difference between East and West, and I don't mean. What I mean by that is the philosophic experiment, right? So you could be Eastern in your mindset and be a Western person.
Yes.
I love.
Before we get into that, real quick, sorry, Father Deacon, but I want to go through some super chats here. So we have Rachel Wilson in the chat. Hello, Rachel. Thank you for tuning in. She also sent a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Blessed Holy Wednesday, good sirs. Thank you. Thank you for the entertainment and enlightenment. That's what we try to do over here. Some knowledge delivered in an entertaining way. From FPV, $10. The attacks have been there using Ortho Bros as a slur from even well-known YouTube orthos. It's sad we can't all fight heresy and evangelize. Envy is a sin. Yeah, I think maybe there's like part of like, there's like the Ortho Bros, and you see them like all together having a good time. Like we're all peaceful with each other. We all get along. We have our disagreements from time to time, but generally, we're all pretty courteous to each other. And they're like, maybe there's like they're not in the cool kids group kind of thing, and they want to be. And like, let me tell you, I'm not that cool, first of all. So it's not necessarily a cool kids group, but yeah. And we got $2 from Yonan. Says, I use tag to defend the Divine Mercy Chaplet. I don't know what that is. So thank you. Thanks for the $2, Yonan. And one more thing before we actually get into the East and West distinctives. I wanted to cover a little bit more of the timeline here. So we went through their tweets. We identified who these people are. Like, these are vile people. They're not good people. Like, I don't know. There's this like idea on Twitter that I've seen that's like, oh, come on, it's Holy Week, Alex. Like, why don't you lighten up a little bit? Why are you being so hard on them? Look, the demons have exposed themselves. Let's go after them now. They've come out of the dark. They've come out of the shadows. They want to fight. Okay, great. Let's go through and do it now. Why should we wait? Now, what led to the recent escalation on Twitter started with a joke from our good friend Ben from Cleave to Antiquity. We shared this, excuse me, I just got the chills. He shared this little video basically just mocking the Latinizers because they have this like tendency towards furries. So it's just like a joke. This isn't even any one of them. He's just joking around. And this Hosanna guy, I've noticed, he's one of their top posters on Twitter. He says, silence, catechumen, the church is teaching. And he quotes this part from the Catechism of St. Peter Mogila, talking about guilt and becoming guilty. So I took some time and I looked into exactly what this is, like who are the people that are involved with this translation over here. And it turns out that this translation is based on a Latin translation of a Greek text, which was approved by the Synod. So the Greek text was approved by the Synod of Yash.
The Latin one wasn't, yeah.
And it was not. It's a translation of the approved text. So if you're translating from the Latin, of course, you're going to have this kind of language where you see guilty and guilt. So I told him to take his tainted Latin text and shove it up his butt, and I called him a demon. Now, the demon part, I do not regret, because as Father Deacon said, I think there is a demonic influence on this. What I do regret, maybe, I probably should not have told him to shove it up his butt. Fine. I take that back. I repent of this one. Nonetheless, I showed the exact same section because I have the actual book, and it talks about a state of sin, and it's very clear that that like state of sin is corresponding to what St. Maximus talks about when the fall in the garden is just a different mode of existence, a different tropos. It's not some sort of guilt imputation. And you can see that the state of sin is just talking about death. When you read through this, there's nothing about guilt here, right? So, and oddly enough, nobody can complain about this translation because you know who did it? Joshua Shuping. He agrees with you guys. So,
by the way, I want to bring up too a pretty straightforward, good, wonderful argument. What does it say in Scripture we're going to be judged on?
Our deeds.
Our deeds. Does it say our nature? You judge. Your nature's been weighed, judged, and found wanting because of Adam. And that's really important, right? Because, yes, we can talk about, what the wages of sin are, and we can even use legal analogies and stuff like this, but we're only guilty for personal sins. I mean, it literally says that in the Scriptures. How could you, if you're judged, right, and that's what we talk about, this is what the whole conversation is about judgment, right? And Father Stephen Young said too, we are judged, and we receive death, right? But they mean something different beyond that. You're only judged for your personal sin. Like, your nature is not put into a legal status. And this gets all tied up in the kind of, the Manichaeanism, right? That there's, and they don't realize this. They're bringing in these kind of Calvinist Manichaean kind of ideas of sin natures, and your nature's now moved into the legal status of guilty, and you're judged on the judgment's death. We all inherit it. Anything beyond that are personal actions. I mean, it's pretty clear.
Which is, what's wonderful. I'm glad you bring that up, Father Deacon, because Decree 6 of the Confession of Dositheus, which apparently they think this document helps them. No, it does not. Decree 6 is very clear. I'm sorry. I think it's not Decree 6. It's a different one. But it says that the nature...
Got you.
I got wrecked. It's Decree 14. We believe man in falling by the original transgression to have become comparable and like unto the beasts, that is, to have been utterly undone and to have fallen from his perfection and impassibility, yet not to have lost the nature and power which he had received from the supremely good God, but to have the same nature in which he was created and the same power of his nature, that is free will, living and operating, so as to be by nature able to choose and to do what is good and to avoid and hate what is evil. So the very Confession of Dositheus says exactly what St. Maximus says. Your nature doesn't change in the fall. It's a different mode of existence. So again, it's just another thing that helps us. I don't want to leave this guy on the screen here. Go ahead.
Well, it makes sense too, because the judgment is based on the mode of willing too. Like it's about your will.
Yes.
Right. It's not your hypostasis. It's not your person or nature that's judged. You die. Like, that is already done. And so
and the other blameless passions, I would imagine, or other consequent, like sorrow and hunger and thirst, and in those things. But like you said, Father Deacon, ultimately death.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember it was like 3 years ago. This all started. Part of the problem is that they're in these Discord. The scourge of God's creation. There should only be one Discord, and that's mine. The Orthodox Discord server. People used to call it Direcord. If Jay handed it over to me,
yeah,
now I have all the power.
Now it's a Father Deacon cord.
Yeah, it's FDA
Yeah.
cord.
Yeah.
So Dave Erhan runs it with me too, so I shouldn't say it's all mine. Anyways, so what you probably noticed is you get these people in here and they want to be the boss. Is one of my guys here says Yerba 2 final boss. Can we call in? No, you cannot. You could call on an Alex maybe, but
I'll post it in maybe like 20, 30 minutes here. We'll see how far we
I'm
get.
obviously tech retarded tonight, so I can't. Anyways, so they get in these things, right? And what's interesting is they actually accuse me and Jay of being like cult members. But that's actually what they are. They use the Saul Alinsky tactic of like they call you what they are and what they're actually doing. And what they do in those Discord servers is they, without any blessing, without any credentials, again, you and I had to go to do a lot of school. I'm under somebody. I'm not anonymous. If I mess up, I'm accountable for it.
Yeah.
And none of these people are. And yet they're still out there and they're actually grooming kids. I hate to use that analogy, but
You're right. You are correct,
really,
Father
it's
Deacon. Yeah.
predatory behavior.
Yes.
And
They're like building up an army of child soldiers to send out into the Twitter sphere to try to undermine what we're saying.
It's crazy.
And then gives ammunition, which, by the way, if I could mention for the chat, that's the only reason why I decided to escalate this situation in the way that I did and to like call them out for what they are, which is, hey, you are being oppressed by demons. There's a demonic energy that is going on behind you. I was straight up about that. I did not mince any words about that. But the idea is that like Redeem Zoomer, these guys with enormous platforms and maybe not so big platforms like Eric Ibarra, but still influential in the community. They're going to these like Latinizers, these crypto-Protestants, taking their arguments and their quote mines and using them against us, like me and Jay and all these other guys. So it was like when Redeem Zoomer was like, don't you guys also believe in transubstantiation? It was absolutely not in the way you think. Not in the way you think, Redeem Zoomer. So you know exactly where they got these kinds of arguments from. So at some point, it was like, you guys that watch my channel know that I'm very aware of the Streisand effect, that by giving attention to somebody, in a way, you're giving them legitimacy, right? So I'm very careful with that. Nonetheless, if we can stop this craziness, or at least come to some sort of truce where like they can come to some certain truths on some doctrines and be open to learning more about them and to just like cool it with all the posting for a while, like you guys don't need to totally acquiesce. We can come to the table and talk about it, right? But what you guys are doing is actively going against Holy Orthodoxy. Like you are confusing people. There are people that decide to not get into the church because of what you're doing. Also, the slander is unacceptable. It has to stop.
Yeah, you can be. I'm just deacon, so I can't do anything. But and I don't care about somebody personally insulting. It just makes my salvation easier. It's slandering the office, which is an excommunication. Like you've already read some stuff. You could be excommunicated for that. You cannot say that stuff to clergy. There's clergy that obviously I don't agree with and think are problematic. I still call them father. They have legitimate, until they're defrocked or disciplined, they're legitimate. And I won't even talk. I try not to even talk about them in public. I basically just kind of, if somebody's problematic, I kind of block them and just kind of keep them out of my life. But isn't it amazing that, and yet there's people in these Discord servers that follow these people like, well, this is true orthodoxy. The people who cuss out clergy and don't call them by their title. It's like,
and call them anti-Christian. Not only not Christian, anti-Christian. Basically, antichrist is what they call them. I got $10 from Kolemic Ethos. How do I get the ortho beard? Well, I don't really know. You should ask Father Deacon. Mine is a not so well developed. Father Deacon, do you have any beard tips?
I have no idea what happened. Yeah, when I first started growing it was kind of patchy, and my wife's like, I don't know if this is gonna work out for you. And then all of a sudden it was like, I was like, yes. Anyway, so pray, Lord, please
pray and fast for it.
Lord, send down your patron saint of beards to intercede before the master and give me a beard or something. I don't know.
Got $5 from God is the Great Physician. Thank you for the donation. They love to say y'all are modern, but the neo-patristic synthesis was a return to the pre-scholastic influence from the Latin captivity. This is an excellent point, and maybe we can talk about this now, actually. So my understanding of the history, Father Deacon, if I make a mistake, of course, feel free to jump in. But the idea is that after the fall of Constantinople, that Orthodox priests and clergy at some point realized it's kind of a struggle. It's very troublesome for us to educate our priests since we don't have this like central area of orthodoxy, right? You have the Islamic invasions throughout North Africa, and you have like some problems. So a lot of the clergy ended up going to like Italy, ended up going to Roman Catholic Europe in order to receive an education on this. And naturally, they learned Latin. All of that stuff is done in Latin. And that brought in, it like smuggled in a certain terminology and even a certain slant to how these doctrines are understood. So starting even in like the 1800s, going through the 1900s, you see that there's sometimes called a patristic revival movement, where there's a move back to like, okay, well, we're settled now. We don't need all of these Latin things. Let's go back to what we've been doing the entire time. And I quoted Metropolitan Callisto Swear on this, and some people were saying, oh, well, he's a liberal, don't you know? He like has some problems. Well, Father Seraphim Rose, he's not a liberal. He's one of the most conservative and probably soon to be Saint Seraphim Rose. One of the more conservative scholars who, guess what? He says the exact same thing that I am saying. He agrees with me on this issue. If you go to page 83 in this book, The Place of the Blessed Augustine in the Orthodox Church, it's pretty well known. He covers this exact thing. He says, Orthodox theology in the 20th century has been undergoing a patristic revival. Beyond doubt, there is much that is positive in this revival. Some of the Orthodox textbooks of recent centuries, that's not a few years, that's going back centuries, they have taught certain doctrines with a partially Western, especially Roman Catholic, vocabulary and slant. And they have failed to properly appreciate some of the profoundest Orthodox fathers, especially of more recent times, St. Simeon the New Theologian, St. Gregory Palamas, and St. Gregory the Sinaiite. The 20th century patristic revival has at least partially corrected these shortcomings and has freed the Orthodox academies and seminaries of some of the unnecessary Western influences that had been present in them. Actually, this has been a continuation of the modern movement of Orthodox self-awareness, which was begun in the 18th and early 19th centuries, so that's 1700s, 1800s, by St. Nicodemus, the Hagiorite, St. Macarius of Corinth, and Blessed Paisius Velichkovsky, Metropolitan Philaret of Moscow, and others, both in Greece and Russia. Now, after this, he goes on to critique some excesses of this movement, but he talks about how through the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, this patristic revival you see in the 1900s, it didn't just come from out of nowhere. This was already happening where after the Western captivity, that some people like to call it, they were already going back to what was actually handed down, right? And some of the excesses were rightfully critiqued by Father Seraphim. He says, look, these guys are going so far as to say that the Blessed Augustine, that he doesn't deserve a place in the church as a holy father or as a saint. And that, I would say that's an excess. That's wrong. I don't think any, Father Deacon, myself, Jay, Nikolai in Korea, all these guys, we have always had the position that the Blessed Saint Augustine is a holy father in the church, worthy of our respect. We should ask him for his intercessions, and he made some mistakes.
Yeah, I love St. Augustine. Hey, nobody loves St. Augustine as much as me. I made my wedding cake into St. Augustine's Confessions. Kid you not. Like,
There you go.
I really. So, notice it's always like, well, these people hate Augustine. Saint Augustine. They won't even say his saint. It's like, what are you talking? I don't know. Maybe there's some people. I'm like, I don't know anybody that's like that. By the way, yeah, absolutely good points about the Latin captivity. But you know what they say too? Like, that's a conspiracy theory.
That's so crazy because I have a liberal scholar, Metropolitan Callistos Ware, talking about it, and then I have a conservative, well-respected Hiero monk, soon to be sainted, Father Seraphim Rose. They have nothing in common, and they agree on this with us, with me and you, Father Deacon.
You were saying something, and it made me think about something else.
Uh-huh.
Also, as Father Stephen the Young had brought up too, especially in Russia, like during this time too, it wasn't just that, let's say certain people were influenced in a negative way. You know, they were trying to they were translating a lot of this stuff into, Latin so they could reach the people. Now, we've seen that sometimes that poses problems. Can anybody think what problem in history between Latin and Greek produced an issue in terms of language and then into theology?
It's a pretty big one.
Yeah, it was exactly because procedere, they only had one Latin word. We had two different Greek words and it was kind of a similar thing, right? That we're seeing that in some of these Latin translations, they're using words that we would never use in the Greek. It's a bad translation, or the other thing is, this is exactly why they're children and didn't learn to do proper scholarship. Half the stuff is all just like meme pictures with like, it doesn't tell me, look, when you go to school, I'm gonna have to be grading papers soon, so I had to like go over all of this in your bibliography, your works cited, right? The edition, right? You put the the author, the volume.
Yeah, so that you can find it if you want to.
Yes.
Yes, that's the point.
Can you imagine? God, I just had a nightmare. I'm going to have nightmares about this. I'm going to have like a dream tonight where I get bibliographies and it's all just like Twitter, like meme pictures. And I'm like, well, no.
Can you imagine? Like, you get a works cited page and it's all just like meme knowledge.
But that's what they're doing. And I'm telling these people, I'm like, I don't know where this is from.
Where did you find this? Where can I go find it? Like, make it easy for me.
Who translated it, especially with scholars too? I mean, we argue over Aristotle, whether the McKeon is a good translation. Is it true to the? I mean, and that guy's a full-on scholar. What we're seeing is actually a lot of this stuff, first of all, is just fake, we find out. It's like literally just made up.
It's made up.
It could be a bad translation. I remember somebody was quoting me St. Philar, like, I don't know if it was St. Philaret or, no, it wasn't St. Philar. It was a bishop. And it was one of those meme kind of screenshot. And I said, wow, it's amazing. I didn't know that you knew Russian. They said, I don't. But somebody does. I'm like, obviously,
somebody, okay.
So I'm like, well, so you can't actually tell me what this text actually is. So what I feel like's going on is, right? You talked about Mott and Bailey. They're like these sorcery tricks, right?
On this lack of commitment.
Which book? What if I did this?
Oh, like a shell game. Like they're just mixing it around.
And it's like all smoke and mirrors, and you're like, So it's like, well, where's the text? Which is the text? And also they do this. This is why they equivocate on words. Here's the reason why you know these people are no good. You judge them by their fruits. Mm-hmm. Nothing ever becomes clear from these conversations with them.
Well, I think they live in obfuscation on purpose, because that's why I asked Ruckus, whatever his name is, when he called in to Nikolai's stream, what is your view on the atonement? And he couldn't say, he couldn't say anything for the longest time. And then eventually his answer was, Christ took on our punishment. I said, okay, when, where? And he goes, on the cross. I said, congratulations, you just fell under anathema under the Synodicon, which I can pull out that section here. This is one that Craig Truglia has talked about. It's in the Synodicon under the section against Basiliki, Satiricos, and others. Yeah, and I don't know if you guys can see that one. I'm not making it up. It's like the third paragraph. It says, to them who invent and introduce intervals of time into the reconciliation of human nature with the divine and blessed nature of the life-giving and holy and violet Trinity, and legislate that we were first reconciled to the only begotten Word by his assumption of humanity, and then afterwards to God the Father during the salutary passion of the Savior Christ. Thus they divide what is indivisible in the divine and blessed fathers, who taught them that the only begotten, here's the proper view, who taught them that the only begotten reconciled us to himself through the entire mystery of the economy of the incarnation, and through himself and in himself to God the Father, and it follows necessarily to the all-holy and life-creating Spirit. Therefore, to them who invent these new and strange doctrines, we say, anathema, anathema, anathema. So, when somebody asks you, what is the Orthodox view of the atonement? I think Craig is right to use that term, economy. It's the entire mystery of the economy. It's from the incarnation through his ministry to the healings that he did, to his death on the cross, his resurrection, and his sitting at the right hand of the Father. It's the entire economy of the incarnation. So I informed that gentleman he fell under anathema from the Synodicon. And then again, he tried to wiggle around a bit. And he said, well, I didn't say that was my whole view. I had asked him about 20 times what his view was. He didn't want to say, because all they want to do is critique us without actually committing to anything themselves, because then they expose themselves to critique.
Not on my watch. Not gonna happen. Yeah. Dude, I just found something so great. Many of you know I've written on wait, I'm the wrong side. I've written on about many back pages, the back side of books, but this time I'm going to be talking about Eric Voegelin's Science, Politics, and Gnosticism. Because something I noticed of what they're doing is exactly what Eric Voegelin's talking about with this kind of neo-Gnosticism. And their words, they're ambiguous, right? They're like semantic shapeshifters. Like, well, I didn't say that. I didn't. So if you keep it ambiguous enough, you can shapeshift, right? You're never committed.
Yes. They're hiding.
You can never figure out what they're actually saying. It's like, I didn't say that.
What are you saying? I'm not interested in what you're not saying.
Yeah,
Tell me what you are saying.
We had somebody on the other day, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're arguing about at this point. Like, it's just like, which is showing too that they probably don't know either. It's just like, well, I'm here to be contentious and just argue. But let me read you some of this. Let's see. He's talking about Hegel. He's talking about the sophists. Let's see. And then he goes into philosophy, right? The actual knowledge, the lover of knowledge, the lover of wisdom. And he really says, this is a beautiful passage. In the meaning of the passage, he's quoting from, I think, the Phaedrus. He says, Philosophos becomes Theophilos, the lover of God. And then he goes on and talks about, but the Gnostic attempts to abandon this, right? And he says, but the philosopher the philosophical wordplay that these people do serves. This is the philosopher. That the philosopher does serves to illuminate thought. So when we use these words, and when the fathers and the theologians and your professors in seminary use different words, what does it do? It serves to hone in, tighten up, and clear up. In other words, to illumine thought. While the Gnostic wordplay is designed to conceal non-thought. So I talk about that the Gnostic commits a thought crime. But you got to cover your tracks, right? And you cover it with this semantic wizardry, or sorcery and word wizardry, going back and forth. And it says, the point is worth noting because the German Gnostics, who he's obviously probably referring to Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, Hegel, etc., like to play with language. And notice also that out of these schools came the critical theorists, right? Adorno, or from all these stuff that eventually went to the New School and stuff like this. And what did they do? Wordplay, like they were masters of actually.
Yeah, abstractions and hiding non-thought. I feel like that's the best way I've ever heard it phrased.
Isn't that great?
Hiding non-thought.
Hiding non-thought. Which, this is how we know it's demonic, right? What are demons? They are real estate agents getting you to invest in real estate in imaginary places. Non-existence. They're literally non-thoughts, while making you think that there's a real place that you're investing in. And so, the philosopher springs from the love of being. It's man-loving endeavor to perceive the order of being and attune himself to it. The Gnostic desires dominion over it. So what were we talking about? What is this? It's a narcissistic, actually predatory control over other people. In order to seize and control a being, the Gnostic constructs his system. Discord? His Discord system.
It's a Discord system.
The building of the system is the Gnostic form of reasoning, not a philosophical one. And then it goes on. I feel like I don't even know if these glasses work.
Oh, wait, hold on. All right, now I'm a scholar too.
Okay. See how much smarter it makes me look?
Look, we're all scholars.
There's nothing actually even in this book. I'm just literally making this up.
It's just empty pages.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to read. Oh, there was a point in there where about the wordplay. Let's see. Anyways, that's probably enough for now for you to get the kind of point that, again, it conceals non-thought. And there was a point in here where he's talking about Hegel and how he does this. And he kind of changes the meaning of the words, and then it switches over to, this is exactly what's going on in with these guys.
Yeah, in litigation, we're trained to look for that because whenever people start abstracting, it every single time without fail, 100% of the time, it means they're hiding something.
Yeah.
Always. And that's what we're trained to push for concrete answers on those things. Because as soon as it becomes concrete, well, now you can't really back off from that anymore. We got a $5 super chat from Aracoda. Thanks for the donation. Glad Jay and Bryce J had a convo and reconciled. Praise God. Glory to God. That's good because Bryce J as well. But Bryce J has said only good things about me. But I was hearing through the grapevine some questionable things about him. So if he's in good standing with Jay, that's a good sign. $5 from Randall. Thank you very much. I've heard many Orthodox priests teach substitution, but say we mean something entirely different than Calvinism. How is that different? I think I'll go first, Father Deacon, and then you can give the better answer. If you look at the Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I think in the way that Aslan substitutes for Edmund, right? It's not like he is being imputed the crime that Edmund did. No, he gives himself as a greater prize to the witch, right? He's not receiving the sentence that Edmund should have received in that sense. It's in the sense that, why would you take Edmund? Take me instead. I'm a way bigger prize. Forget about Edmund. Leave him over there. I'd say in that sense, it's a substitution, not in the sense of a double imputation.
Yeah. And Father Michael Pomazansky has a lot to say about this too, in which he distinguishes, again, words can mean different things. It doesn't have to, I think Father Stephen DeYoung said this too. So Christ is a substitute, but not in place of us, but going with us, right? He takes it on, right? That's a type of substitute. And the reason why it can't be, well, he takes it in place of us, is because guess what? We still die. Like,
it's a good point.
It's like,
yeah, we still feel hunger. We still feel thirst. We still suffer disease.
Yeah, so he's entering in. So substitution can mean not. He goes in place of us, because that's really what they want to say. That then he receives the wrath of the Father that we deserve. The wrath from God, by the way, is a divine energy. That's why we say hellfire is God's love. And we inherited death, so we can speak about that, right? St. John Chrysostom, I've had people bring up quotes from St. John Chrysostom, and it was like, oh, it says the wrath of God. What does it mean by that? I'm like, well, not what you think it means. How about that? Let's just start. I brought up, God cannot be the cause of death. That's what St. Gregory Nyssa says. How could life ever be the cause of death? So the wrath of God is God's divine energy, is love. And because man and Adam sinned, we inherited death. Okay? So we can speak of death as being the wrath, right? That Christ takes on death, correct? Not in place of us as a substitution, but the substitute is he takes it because we still die. That's the... Anyways, go look up... I think Father Pomazansky is really good on all this, and spelling out, I think it's chapter 6, God and the Salvation of Man. Ways in which we can talk about penalty, substitution, and atonement, and it's nothing. It's about as far away as you can get from what all these people are trying to say.
Yeah. Got $10 from Maryland. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for the donation. Repentant Rifleman. Can you get some bishops to publicly help stomp this out? They might not listen, but it could help stop heterodox from using the crypto Calvinists to smear the rest of us.
I know you. I know you, Repentant Rifleman.
I think that would help. You're right. Even if they don't listen to the bishops, then that makes it even worse because it exposes how insolent they are.
Somebody asked me this question before, and they're like, can we get a synod to deal? I'm like, but 10 people under 21?
Yeah, Anons.
Probably
mostly.
not. Like, it's hard to get bishops to do anything. But let me just put it this way. I teach. I'm a professor at Jordanville. I teach online, and the professors and the Bishop Luke are well aware of what's going on, and have said that it's going to be dealt with. Or they'd like to see it dealt with. So they know. Now, out of all the busy things and crazy stuff that bishops have to do with, like, are they? I don't know, but they're well aware. There is no bishop. Remember, even Bishop Arane, whose parents, by the way, live in my city. Interesting enough. He called all this nonsense out. It's not going to do anything. They're going to be, you know what they're going to say? Well, they're all modernist. Every single one of even the bishops. And what do they always say? They love to bring up the time of the Arians.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Well, because they think they're Saint Athanasius. So, of course, they're going to go to the time of the Arians.
Yes.
Checks out.
Well, the problem with that is not every bishop and priest was in it. There were a lot of them. I don't know, what, 70%? Like, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't, because there are no bishops or priests that are on your side on this. And the gates of hell are not going to prevail against the church. If you can find me, Lord, just one good bishop, right? 3 good bishops. No, 2 good bishops. There's nobody on. Number 2, you know what didn't happen in the time of Arius and the Arians? The people didn't say, well, guess I just have to rely on my right of private judgment and read the text by myself. They were under an authority. You know when these people quote Saint Maximus? Well, he was a lady and he was under somebody. He was
also
yeah.
A monastic is not on the same level as they're not a member of the clergy, but I don't think they're considered a member of the laity either, right, Father?
No, they are.
Just straight up laity.
Yeah, unless they are. Anyways, but if you're apostolos as laity, you can be sent to teach, right? That's why I brought this up. In the early centuries, it was the question that was repeated over and over again: who sent you?
Got to show your papers.
Apostolic?
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't mean, are you an ordained? It means, remember what Saint Ignatius says: the church is where the bishop is. That's the church. That's why antimons on the altar mean in place of, right? The priest and myself have no authority to do anything. I'm literally the right hand of the bishop, and then the priest is standing in place of the bishop by literally the antimons, right? So a bishop can send a lady, a layperson to a lady, a laity.
Laity.
Yeah.
A layperson.
Yes. That's what, and he's under somebody. That's what Father Stephen Young said. We're all under somebody. We have a priest or a bishop or somebody that we're accountable to, that we answer to, that can actually send us and tell us, right? That's the difference in the time of the Arians. Those people were under somebody. They were not reading and studying the fathers by themselves. That's what they don't. They always say that, well, do you think that you know more than this saint? First of all, what was it that I had sent to you? They're not saints because they got 100% on the theology exam. It's because they're holy. Okay. Number 2, they can get stuff wrong. We all do. So, number 3, it's less to do with what they're saying and what you actually think they're saying. So it's really you that we're arguing with. But unless, again, this is why I can't call up one of St. Philaret and say, what did you mean by this? Why did you use this word? That's why these have to be read under the authority of clergy, where you can have a conversation. Father, what does this mean? And what you go to seminary, you learn these things. There's a living body. This is why it's so Protestant. How is this any different than Protestantism when it says, let's just go to Scripture? Scripture is the authority. Now, Alex, you're a lawyer. Does it make any sense to say that the Constitution of the United States is authoritative, is the highest authority in the land, but we don't actually have any judges or Supreme Court there's no actual living body that can interpret and bind?
You look up the term authority in a dictionary, it has many different senses, right? Just because if you show up, you're a city inspector and you show up to some job site and you say, hey, I got to check this out. And the workers there say, where's your authority? And they pull out a badge or a paper or something. That's fine, but that's not authority in the sense of, hey, I need an authority to sort this out, where you have a decision maker, a person that is actually going to apply the documents. So if a police officer violates your Fourth Amendment right from reasonable search and seizure, right? What are you going to just hash it out with the police officer right there? It says in the Constitution right here. And he's going to say, well, I think it means this. And you're going to say, no, I think it means that. No, you go to a judge, somebody who is authorized to interpret and apply that document. They're there for a reason.
That's why I was asked them, because I said, I'm not infallible. None of the saints are infallible, or the fathers. None of the priests, the bishops. Okay, so I could get it wrong. I admit that. I still have a level of authority. I'm the lowest level in the priesthood, but it's still a level of authority. But my question is, how is this resolved? We're obviously when two people are having a disagreement over the text, how is it resolved? Well, you know what you do? We got to find two people that are 17 years old, and what's their qualifications? Well, they have to be furries. This is what, and then we'll put them in a ring together, and they'll just ad nauseum, ad infinitum, just argue these things. That's how it works.
Stack up out of context quotes.
Yeah, out of context and meme and AI generated fake quotes.
And then when you do a call in, they'll just sit there and giggle the whole time.
And then what's interesting is I saw somebody say, it's not about their age. You're making fun. Deal with the arguments. No, don't tell me what to do, first of all. It's always I find that their arguments are better. What did I bring up? Most of you, forgive me, I love all of you, but most of you are not capable or trained to see whose argument's better. That's why it's just sport, even on the guys on our side. It's just rooting for my favorite sports hole player, right? So that's not, and that's pretty subjective, right? Number two, how insane is that? Well, I find that the argument the entity was giving me from the Ouija board was really good, and we should deal with it.
It's a good point. Who cares about the source, right? Can you just address the argument on its merits? It's a demon, dude. What on earth?
Yeah, that's an ad hominem. That's an ad demon hominem. It's not ad hominem. It's ad demian. You can't make fun of his just because he's a demon doesn't mean his argument's bad. It's probably is bad because he is a demon. All right.
Or even if it's sound, it's probably not bringing you to the conclusion that is actually correct.
Yeah. So that's exactly, here's the thing. If you had a 7-year-old mouthing off and be deal with the argument just because I'm 7-year-old and you're a parent, what would you say? Well,
shut up.
I have to. You give them a licking. You tell them I'm your elder, I'm your parent, and you're going to shut your mouth when you're talking to me, or you're going to get a licking. That's what all these people need. They need a licking, right? And Aristotle says that too. He's when people refuse to listen to reason, you go to the stick, right?
Well, the saints say it too. I wonder if it was St. John Chrysostom who said that if you hear somebody insult our Lord, correct them, tell them. If they continue, don't be afraid to strike them in the street where they are.
that's exactly if there. You notice these dark triad traits, this kind of Machiavellian, narcissistic, sociopathic. Just deal with me. Deal with the argument. Deal with the. It's like, no, that's exactly what I'm not gonna do. Right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
And I read to you. I think we brought up in Nicholas's stream, but I don't mind pulling it up too. That we Orthodox have something called a virtue epistemology. So as people think that, well, just because I'm young doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It's like, but probably, right? And I can actually see that you're wrong, and because the reasons why you're wrong is because of the state of your soul and immaturity and lack of virtues. And Plato addresses. Should I get it out?
Yeah, I think that's good for everybody to hear. In the meantime, guys, we do have the call-in link in the chat. I pinned it there. The only thing that I would ask, you can come at me as hard as you want. That's fine. Father Deacon Ananias is a member of the clergy. Please show some deference to Father Deacon if you're going to call in. And if you disagree, you know, I just ask that he is my guest on here. So have at least some manners, you vile beasts.
Let me.
I got $5 from True Patristic Pat. Says the internet has made mankind incapable of amicably disagreeing, even on the smallest of issues. Versus. Kyrie eleison. Thanks. I mean, I'm open to
chats. Let me read them real quick.
Yeah.
My folks are a lot cheaper than yours, so that's all right. Everybody been hating on me. You just keep it up. Just don't send it. How about this? Don't send in your super chats. But Van Manuel does. He sends in 20 Mexican pesos. This is hiding a non-super chat. Nobody. I seriously, I'm going blind. I can't believe it. WI3YR, $10. They zealously court you, but for no good. Yes, they want to exclude you that you may be zealous of them. Galatians 4:17. They exclude us by their abstractions that they only can explain. Anyways, just wanted to read those. Go ahead.
Adam 499. Their quote mines are filthy rags before God, Daddy. I see. Don't worry, I got you.
This is but filthy rags before God, Daddy. That's gonna send you straight to hell, amen.
999 from Taint Nuffum. Many of the Romanian and Russian sources cited make ambiguous words like guilt. Well, I have scanned through them. I didn't have a chance to sit down and actually read that one that guy shared with me, but uses a term like stramoshi nostri or like pacatele stramoshi nostri. Like it's referring to ancestral sin. It's like literally like stramoshi refers to your ancestors.
Peccata nostri, like our peccatosul is like fault, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a variation on that. What am I doing? I'm lecturing a Romanian on it. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Thanks for the $10, Tate Nuffum. $5 from Ortho Cards. They restartedly tweeted me a quote from the 1911 Georgian Catechism. Unfortunately for them, it literally said ancestral sin in Georgian. Yeah, it's like blunder after blunder. And you see it like with their methodology too, where they're using the wrong text even for St. Peter Mogila's Catechism. And like the difference is they're subtle, but they're meaningful. They certainly change the meaning of what you're reading. $10 from Dragod 486. If you haven't already, could you have a topic on the fake, cowardly piety signalers online that call for unity in the face of laity and clergy getting attacked? Thanks for your work, Father Deacon and Alex. Well, I think I said out here at the beginning that it was very intentional. Like my intention was to draw them out. It's not like whatever. There was one thing that bugged me, which is that for years, they've been going around citing St. Peter Mogila's Catechism. The whole time, they've been using a manuscript that was not approved by the council. Why don't you go use the one that is approved by the council? Why do they do that? Because this wording helps them more, and they're deceiving and misleading people, and it's vile and evil and wrong. So,
by the way, I've probably mentioned this before, but there's something that every heretic does. All right, I gotta read these super chats. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Neopsis sends in $4.99. It's crazy. I'm totally blind. Abney Isaac, $50. Appreciate the work tonight, FDA and Alex. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Got $5 from Great Scott 72. Here's my tithe for the stream. Thank you both. Yes. Did I answer this one adequately? Could you have a topic on the fake cowardly piety signalers online? I mean, whatever. I don't care. Like, but they're going to do that regardless of what we do anyway. The thing is, there are accountability structures in place. If I did something too harsh or too wrong, Father Peter or Father Deacon or whoever, they'll reach out to me and they'll be like, Alex, you took it too far. You shouldn't have said that. Mm-hmm. Fine, but
I tell people that, I'm not going to let random people and laity and possibly non-Orthodox scold me on.
Yeah, it's not their place.
I have people that do that. I'm under. Right. I
serve
with a priest,
why are they going to
Father confessor? I have a bishop. Like,
yeah, they're trying to usurp the role of those people. But there is somebody in that position already, right? So again, it's just moral posturing. It's cowardly. It's just moral posturing. $2 from In the Filth. We know the Discord goblins are watching. Call in. Yes. I mean, you guys talk so much smack online. I mean, let's figure it out. Let's hash it out, right?
Or better yet, come up here to Montana. When we sit down and have a talk.
Have man to man, face to face.
That's actually how you do it. That's how we were brought up. Like, we just face to face. Let's just man up and have a talk. They never do. Although I will give some people credit who did come to MontaNika and did do that. And I remember, I can't even remember his name, but there was one guy that said, he pulled me aside and he says, "Can I ask for your forgiveness?" He's like, "Can I talk to you in private?" And he's like, "I want to ask your forgiveness." He said that I misjudged you. And I misjudged you because he was online in Discord, right? And so you get to see somebody face to face, right? And you actually, or you're in an aerial Discord server listening to little voices of
those little demons talking smack.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah. Got $10 from Likeich. Father, Your Honor, just be counselor for me. I'm not a judge, but with all due respect, I am built different. Oh, I see. Well, in that case, if you're parodying this, then Your Honor might be appropriate. So, Father, Your Honor, with all due respect, I am built different. I am 17 years old and have been inquiring for a whole 6 months. I read Augustine for the first time yesterday, and I am here to fix the church. Well, thank God you came. I don't know what we would have done without you. Thanks for the $10, Likeich. Seriously, on Augustine, though, that's an enormous corpus of work, and also he has his redactions. So if you really want to understand what he's saying, you have to at least become familiar with the large majority of his work and then go through his redactions. Father Stephen on Lord of Spirits did a good podcast on this recently, or it's called East End Boys, West End Girls, or something like that. He's got the witty titles. But he was saying, sorry, I was just looking at the private chat here for a second. But he goes through Augustine and really how to understand him and how, yes, he used the Latin, but even the Latin language and the disciples of Augustine, the ones that followed in his train of thought, where even they didn't actually really understand what he was saying because the cultural context changed so enormously in the few hundred years following Augustine. And that's in the first millennium of the church. But we have a caller, the Byzantine Marine. What's up? What's on your mind, man?
Alex and Father Deacon, hello. First of all, I just want to thank y'all for your work. I
Thank you.
greatly appreciate it. Father Deacon, I'm actually planning to head up to MontaNika. Yes, sir. So, yeah, I had two friends go to it last year, and they said they really loved it. They loved Montana, so I'm looking forward to it for sure.
It's a blessing. And the people, again, I was just mentioning too, when you see somebody face to face, I'm not saying me, the other people that you meet, the relationships and the friendships that you can ask your friends, it's really life transforming. So I'm really happy you get to come up here and experience that.
Absolutely. My question is about, well, Alex, I saw your, the title of your live stream, which was like Orthodox infighting or something like that. So
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of tweets like arguing about PSA, and you know, I I repost a lot of Nikolai and Korea
Yeah.
stuff. So like I'm wondering what that's about because from my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I've only been Orthodox for like less than 3 years. But like there's some Orthodox that supposedly believe in like PSA.
Yeah, that small group of online anons that say that they are Orthodox, although they won't actually acquiesce to any ecclesial accountability.
Understood.
I don't think there is no Orthodox teaching or saint that I know of that, if we're talking about the historical Reformed doctrine of penal substitutionary atonement, that is not the Orthodox view. I think there is a quote from Saint Daniel Sasayev where he says something like they get some things right. It's like a very vague, like very qualified statement about penal substitutionary atonement, you know. But it's not even close to a wholesale trying to import the doctrine into the church. That would be ridiculous.
Understood.
And then
And
understand
then
too, suppose we did have a saint or something that said that. It's not binding.
It's a good point. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah. I find it interesting that they came after me and misrepresented, which is exactly what the Gnostic does with the wordplay. A guy today too, like, just kept lying when I told him, I'm like, I didn't see that you said matins.
Yes.
I'm like, they don't care, right? They're libido dominante. They want control. They want to destroy you. But
Yeah, Alinsky tactics.
do you remember when a couple weeks ago I had mentioned that clergy have a normative authority when it comes to interpreting, and they had said they thought it was absolutely psychopathic for saying that. Like, look at him, he just wants to control people with his authority. Oh! I'm like, well, the priest and the bishop are above me, so I don't. And there was like, well, you no clergy have any authority beyond their parish and diocese. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, not administratively and disciplinary or something like that. So
You still have to show deference to clergy per the Bible and like every single comprehensive catechism that talks about this topic.
If there was another deacon, and there are, and by the way, deacons traditionally had the role of teaching. I don't know if you know that, more so than priests. They were the catechesis. Now we've kind of lost that, but can you imagine saying that, like, deacon or priest or bishop's a bunch of nonsense? Like, they're not even in my diocese, so there's no authority. Okay, well, not in the strongest sense of the word, and sense like if you were in their diocese, of course they have authority over you, right? Now that can be superseded by your priest or bishop, obviously. But now think about how this undercuts their argument. When they quote any of these people, can I just say, they're not in my diocese?
right.
This is so stupid.
Yeah.
Another question, if you don't mind, I'll make it short, but
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
what's
We do have some like callers lined up, so let's try for even the following callers. Try to keep it succinct.
sounds good. What's the whole debate about like babies like burning in hell? I just found that super weird.
Yeah. Well, their logic goes, well, if baptism is necessary for the forgiveness, that's the term they like to use, for the forgiveness of original sin. Well, then every single unbaptized baby can't enter the kingdom of heaven, right? Because he doesn't have remission of that original sin. He is guilty in the eyes of God. And that's how their argument goes, based on some like very legalistic readings of some things in the saints. But it just violates the Bible on its face. Like, look, you have to know the fundamentals before you're trying to like go into all of these things. Like, if you read the Orthodox Study Bible, like if you go to Second Maccabees, this jumped out at me the other day. Second Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 8. It's talking about it's the leading up to the revolt of Judas Maccabeus. He says, it says, but Judas, also called Maccabeus, and those with him secretly infiltrated the villages and summoned their kinsmen. They called together those who had continued in the Jewish religion and took them as companions. So they gathered about 6,000 men. They invoked the Lord to look upon the people who were trampled underfoot by all, to have compassion on the temple, which had been profaned by ungodly men, to have mercy on the city, which was being destroyed and was about to be leveled to the ground, and to hearken to the blood that cried out to him. And here's the key verse. It says, they also invoked him, God, to remember the lawless destruction of the sinless babies and the blasphemies committed against his name, and to show his hatred of evil. And then you have the countless verses in Jeremiah and in the Psalms that say that babies are innocent. You have St. Gregory of Nyssa has an entire work on where babies either miscarried or were aborted, like, where do they go? It's called On Infants' Early Deaths by St. Gregory of Nyssa. I think that would be a good work also, where he basically says, I have a quote right here, actually.
I have a bunch too you want to pull up.
Yeah.
Then they'll say, and this is my last word before I hop out. These guys will argue, oh, well, that's just semi-Pelagianism. That's their argument.
What is that? Can somebody please define that for me? Because I know, like, Calvinist monergism, right? It's like God does everything, you don't do anything. It's just God. You don't even exist. God, it makes you exist, whatever. My understanding of Pelagianism is that it's just monergism in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But it's just God doesn't do anything. You do
And
everything. You're responsible for your
is something
salvation.
that came up in Protestantism. Like, it's not even a historical. It's not even a real thing.
Yeah. So semi-Pelagianism is just. I would like for them to define what that is, because I don't think that's a real thing.
I see. Cool.
Let
Father
me read
Deacon,
this real
Alex,
quick.
thank you.
Lentum Triodium, compiled in the 14th century by monk Nicephorus. Quote, we should know that when unbaptized infants die, they enjoy the paradise of delight. Baptized infants die, they enjoy the paradise of delight. Whereas those not illumined by baptism and those born of pagans go neither to paradise nor Gehenna, right? And by paradise, obviously,
That's in the eschaton or after?
yes.
Okay.
So when the soul departs from the body, it has no concern of the things in this world, but only for the heavenly thing. Okay. Also, this one is from the life of Saint Basil the Younger. Quote, the Lord looked upon them, the unbaptized infants, and was enraged on account of their blindness, not against them, but against their parents, upon whom he emptied out his just wrath, since, now they're going to misread that, since they had not managed to perfect and enlighten them through his honored baptism. The Lord commanded that a place of rest to the south be given of them. The unbaptized infants, a very small enjoyment of eternal life, due to his ineffable mercy and love for mankind, but not in the holy city, in the kingdom of the heavens, but separately, as been said, in the place which he assigned to them. There's a bunch of these. So basically, what's being said here is paradise here And in the kingdom and the city are the spiritual virtues that one acquires an attempt for theosis. Those are acquired through deeds. So there's no way, so they're not punished. So it says right there, they're not cast in, so they receive a small portion of the blessedness, right? And comfort. They're not tormented, but they don't participate in the virtues and theosis of the higher things in paradise because they haven't acquired those.
Yeah. I have a question in the private chat. It says, who is saying that unbaptized infants burn in hell? Anyone specific? Mars Ruckus, or whatever his name was, in the X Spaces last night, literally said that. He answered affirmatively. He said, yes, they go to hell. So we're going to go to Bluesif, and then after that, we're going to go to Marius. What's up, Bluesif? What's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up. Like, you was talking to that world guy last night.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Lied about being Orthodox. I asked him from the outset. I was like, "Are you familiar with Orthodoxy?" And he's like, no, a little bit." And he's Orthodox. Why? You can tell right off the bat he came in with bad intentions.
so I want to give you a heads up. This same guy came on a panel with Nikolai a couple days, I think, before that.
Shocker.
And, yeah, no, exactly. And he pretty much said, because he's one of these PSA firmers, he pretty much said that God authored death when he punished Adam and Eve.
Well, it's
pretty
the
much
same thing John Calvin says. So, I mean, are we surprised? They're
At least he's consistent.
They're consistently wrong.
Yeah. And on top of that, he's one of these guys that's posting this. It's kind of what Deacon Ananias was talking about, where they're not punished, but they don't go theosis. But they're posting this like meme picture of Saint Paisios quote. Maybe you guys could find it. I couldn't find it in any of his verified works. I asked where they got it from. They got it from a video where he's doing hymns and chants. As far as I'm aware, is there a chant or a hymn that talks about aborted infants not going to heaven or not going to hell? Maybe I'm not aware of it.
Father Deacon.
But where they're saying it's coming from is a hymn or a chant. And I even translated the video, and it's like hymns about the Theotokos. It's chants about the Theotokos and things like this. So as someone who just wants to humbly learn, I think that this is just bad for people that really want to learn about Orthodoxy, because it's just causing confusion. And it's why I have so much respect for clergy, because they have to go through so many years of study and being under somebody to truly understand the faith. And you have these young 17 to 20-year-olds pretty much acting like they are clergy, and they've gone through that type of experience. So that's all I wanted to say, that you really see their fruits by lying about what their faith actually is, not saying who their clergy is. If they do say who it is, they'll probably say the general bishop of their area, not what their spiritual father is. And by the way, just so you know, I did hear who Miko's, I think his name is, right? Miko, I did hear who his bishop was, just so you know.
Because apparently in their mind that equates to doxing or something, which is ridiculous.
I'm not going to put it out there, but I did hear who it was. But the point is, I just think it's very bad for people that genuinely want to know the faith, and these people want to stick to the Latinized captivity period, and not realizing that the strength of Orthodoxy is able to actually hold on to the truth of the faith.
Yeah,
and
they
the
get all their theology from like 1600 to 1800. And that's it. They ignore the first 1,000 years.
Exactly, and I think the 19th and 20th century really shows the strength of Orthodoxy and how the truth really is preserved through time. And that's really a good example of it. And that's all I had to say. God bless you guys. Enjoy your Holy Week.
By the way, what good is it to be like, oh, this is my bishop, when you have an anonymous name?
It's a good point.
Well, they always think like, well,
Doesn't
this is my
create any
bishop.
ecclesial
I'm like,
accountability.
I've heard this 1,000 times. You can contact my bishop and tell him you have a parishioner somewhere that he won't tell that has an anime PFP. You might recognize him from his anime PFP remnants.
This parishioner of yours, he's got a
Name
profile
Miko
pic of an
or
anime
whatever
character.
stupid handle they have.
Just wanted to acknowledge my friend Ben from Cleave to Antiquity in the chat. What's up, dude? Marco from In Between Sundays is here. What's up? This whole situation made me convert to being a Gnostic Latinizer. Nice joke, dude. Next up, we have my friend Marius. Marius and I, we go way back, actually. He's a philosophy bro, so I'm actually excited to sit back and see this here.
Hello, gentlemen. This is a fallible Pentecostal, but I wanted to suit the occasion. I hope you guys like the painting. I do like icons on the wall. I don't worship them. I keep my distance, but I do find them inspiring. I don't find any inspiration in the modern Pentecostal church that resembles a club. I don't find any inspiration in that. Nevertheless, let me get to the question. First of all, Alex, thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast and platform. And also, should I say, Professor, Deacon, all of the above prefixes. Ananias, is it?
Ananias.
Anania. First of all, I read one of your essays that Alex sent me, and it was a pleasure to read, especially given my dry nature. I read a lot of dry stuff. I hope it's a compliment. When I read Frege and Russell, well, it's an.
Well, I was thinking about writing philosophy and comedy and jokes and stuff like that. If I wanted to actually make money, maybe I'd do that. But okay.
Well, it seems to me that you and I may have something in common. I don't know if you've identified yourself, but maybe I'll elucidate something about your nature. And that is the struggle between, when we examine the Bible, we struggle between a sort of a classical logic approach, classic logic, versus a non-classic logic. And here's what I mean. At the outset of the essay that Alex sent me, you sort of sketched this illustration of the disciples sitting around and you said something that I really appreciated, and that is, I don't think the early church with the disciples, they didn't sit around and talk about syllogisms and modern logic. They didn't talk about propositional logic and non-propositional logic. It's not like, and even though during that time they had the access to Aristotle's 3rd century before Aristotle's syllogisms, but they didn't do that. As a matter of fact, in the Galatians, when they encounter Paul, apparently they're sort of mesmerized. You get the sense that they're mesmerized. The three of them, John and Peter, and what's the other one? Anyways, they're sort of mesmerized by Paul's approach. Now, I like the fact that you started off with, we begin with this foundation that's sort of laid out by the prophets, right? It's sort of a non-rational, we believe, and we start off there. Nevertheless, in a recent podcast, I did hear you quoted St. Gregory Nyssa, right, the 4th century mystic. And you highlighted the verse from Exodus, no one can see the face of God and live. And you found a little bit of tension there. Why? Because your logical side kind of kicked in, right? You were okay initially at the outset of that particular article with, hey, let's just assume certain truths without investigating too much, without examining too much. Nevertheless, it seems like occasionally we encounter ourselves clashing with these seemingly paradoxes, like you posited, how can God be the source of life? That's one premise. At the same time, how can God be the source of death, right? And the panacea, the solution that Gregory provided, he proffered this notion of, well, if you follow the leader without turning the opposite way, then that's life. But if you turn the opposite way, that's death. Well, that's one solution, but that sort of invites a couple of problems, right? And I was wondering, maybe, why is it that we don't take advantage as Christians? Why don't we take advantage of non-classical logic, such as dialetheism? Dialetheism is the notion that you can have true contradictions, right? I think Kierkegaard and a lot of the 19th century philosophers really took advantage of it. They didn't label it that, but they took advantage of it. You can have both. Now, you don't want to run into trivialism, which is the notion that all contradictions are true. But some contradictions can be true. Then we have to reconcile the passage from Deuteronomy 32 and 39. I have here my Pentecostal Bible. I don't know what it says in the Catholic Bible. But in our Pentecostal Bible, it says, I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. You get this sort of paradox where how can God be the source of life and source of death, the source of wound and healing? Could we maybe, now what I was wondering, sorry, let me see if I can formulate my question properly. How would you reconcile St. Gregory's response with perhaps the possibility that this paradox, this contradiction is a true contradiction? Who would proceed? Would you take the account from Deuteronomy, or would you agree with Gregory, the Nyssa, the mystic? Who, by the way, mysticism is this ineffable knowledge, and yet he's trying to explain it via logical, classical
I'm
logic.
glad you said that, because mystery in the East, so in the West, we typically think that means unknown. In the East, it's knowledge, but it can't be propositionally explained away, systematically explained away. And so I'm glad that you said an ineffable knowledge. Like, that's a really good way of actually putting it. Now, just a few points of correction. I don't think that what I laid out in my paper, and what I believe the Father is a fideism, because precisely it's an immediate experience, and it is the experience of God, which is a legitimate knowledge.
Sure.
And so I love logic. Like, I teach tomorrow logic, and we're going over a lot of these distinctions between classical, the traditional, and the kind of modern views and different stuff like that. My thing's always been a first things first. So, and I'm glad you also pointed out with some of the paraconsistent logics. They're not a complete rejection that people are always like, whoa, this denies how are you going to get out of this one? They deny the law of non-contradiction. I'm like, no, they don't. Right? They might, like, it may not just, right, whether it's the law of screw the middle or not, like, it might not work in all situations. Like, I'm fine with that. Also, going back, with those things being said, again, the questions that I'm asking are always more deeper, right? It's beyond just the formal systems of logic, and like, why are those things, why do they work, why are they true, why are they normative, right? Of course, I have to use logical language to talk about that. That's why I use the notion of recursion or reflexivity. It's like, yeah, or apophaticism. I'm like, I have, like, just like you said, I have to use words while I'm telling you through my words or logic what's beyond words and logic. Like, not God's fault, my fault. It's because I can't get out of
the... So you take the text from Deuteronomy. I apologize for interrupting you. But the text from Deuteronomy, then, you take it as evidential truth, the direct revelation. He kills and he makes alive. However, you're sort of seeking ways in which you can sort of reconciliate the two. Is that what you're?
Well, I've always puzzled about that. You know, even when I was a Protestant, I couldn't understand. I'm like, well, is it like Indiana Jones or something? Like, you look at him and you die? Because I'm like, maybe, like, but I'm like, it just sort of like, I always kind of struggled with it. So where I don't know, I don't actually speak. So that's why, like, for me, when St. Gregory Nyssa said that, I'm like, that makes sense to me.
It just seems that Gregory would sort of depart from the true contradiction. he's sort of not accept. I mean, what he's doing, he's sort of doing what Kierkegaard does with Abraham. What Kierkegaard does,
Oh, it's very similar.
he looks at this. He looks at paradox and he says Abraham is a killer via our ethical system, but he is a fidia. He's a faithful man when our ethics are superseded or suspended in
It's called the
favor
teleological suspension of the ethics.
teleological. Yeah. So maybe Gregory gets away if he adduces an additional premise to sort of alleviate the tension between the two.
But the thing is, it doesn't have to.
It seems like you and I are running into the same trouble there.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I mean, speaking about, paraconsistent logics, it doesn't have to be an either or on that. He's probably talking about that there's multiple meanings. They don't all have to be in conflict with one another. Obviously, he's speaking within a particular context. So could it mean something else as well? Absolutely. Like, you just got to provide the context of what that is. But yeah, good question, man.
Thank you so much for your
real quick.
patience. Yeah.
Real quick, one of my mods asked Marius if you can do a Christopher Walken impersonation, and like, I wouldn't ask, but I know that you're kind of into doing.
That's weird because so am I, and I do it to my students, and they hate me because wow, look, wow, these guys, these wacko Latinizers. Yeah. Do one, Marius. Come on.
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. I'm gonna see if I know how to turn off this system.
Thanks. Yeah. Next up, we have Latinizer. Dude, the comments in the chat were so funny. But they were like, "Alex, stop interrupting." We got Latinizer up next. Latinizer? It's a question mark. Yeah.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good morning. Or sorry, good evening.
What's on your mind?
Good evening.
Hey, so I wanted to ask Alex about his comments around St. Peter Moila's catechism and his issue with the translation from Latin. So
yeah, that's not what the council approved. You should use what the council approved.
Got you, but you were saying that St. Peter doesn't believe in the Latin translation.
Didn't say anything about what he believes.
Okay, so does St. Peter align in his beliefs?
I don't know where he aligns. All I know is what he wrote down.
Okay.
You know what's good though? I actually have St. Peter's phone number here. Let's call him.
That's great.
I also know what the council approved. Like, I never speculated about what he believed or whatever. All I said was, this is the text that the council approved. Why are you using a text that is not approved by the council?
Well, you're saying you have an issue with the Latin. You're reframing again, but that's fine. You said you had an issue with the Latin.
I never set a frame up in the first place.
You said, okay, I'll just pull up the original tweet. Let's see, we can put up for the viewers.
I already went over all the tweets at the beginning of the stream.
So you said, how dare you slander the great St. Peter Moila in this way? He was thoroughly Orthodox. And you say that because he took his tainted Latin text.
Yes, and he should shove it up his butt.
Got you. Well, that's the thing is,
again, like I
St. Peter Moila's Latin text is the original text. He wrote it in Latin.
The council approved a Greek text.
I didn't deny that.
We don't follow one state, we follow councils.
Okay, again, I didn't say that.
There is no one person that speaks for Holy Orthodoxy. Holy Orthodoxy speaks through its councils.
I agree. But again, you said that St. Peter Moila was Orthodox and you're slandering him.
He submitted his catechism to the council. The council decided to approve the Greek text. That's what they decided to approve. Now you're going to try to associate some Latin translation that imports a lot of meanings and terms with a lot of baggage into it. You're going to try to assign that to him when he submitted to what the council deems right. That's insulting and it's vile.
So it's slander to translate his own writings.
What?
He wrote in Latin. He wrote it in Latin.
And and then what happened?
And then what happened? He sent it. He sent it to the council.
What I just told you. Yeah.
What were the changes? What were the changes to the Greek text? The council approved the Greek text while omitting the issue on the timing of the Eucharistic consecration.
They translated it, and then what?
They omitted the part regarding.
They made revisions. Right?
But what did they revise? What was the revision?
Oh my God, dude.
That doesn't. Oh, what is the revision?
You can just read it, take the Latin one, take the Greek one, put it side by side, and you can see that on its face, there are different things there.
Do you read Latin and Greek?
Oh my God, do you?
No, but I'm asking, do you?
No, but I work off translations from people that are qualified to do it. I don't submit out of context one-liners to Grok to interpret it for me.
No one was doing that. No, neither of us are doing
Good,
that.
I'm glad, but all of your friends seem to do that.
I didn't even say, you don't even know who my friends are
Are
or
you a
not.
part of this group? Are you in their
What's so
Discords or
funny
not?
is it's not even
No, I'm
clear
not in any
what your
Discords.
argument is. Like,
Well, he's saying that it's slandering St. Peter Moila to use
Yeah.
the Latin text
Yeah,
when that's his text.
because he submitted to the discretion of the council. How do you not see this?
Okay, so do you think that there are substantial differences on the
Yes.
question of original sin?
Yes.
Between the two?
absolutely. That's what all the priests, that's what you'll learn in seminary, that's what all the bishops are actually saying. So who are we supposed to listen to? Are there significant differences? And explaining why the Latin wasn't accepted versus the Greek. Like,
Well, what are the significant
17-year-olds
differences?
online, or like the actual, all the...
What are the significant differences?
What's
Why
that?
do I have to explain myself to you? I posted already on Twitter the exact same section that your friend posted on there, section 24. You can see on its face it's different. It uses the term ancestral sin and not original sin. I went through this at the beginning of the stream. It shows that it associates the state of sin not with guilt, but with death.
So
That's
you
a pretty
agree
big
you agree
difference on
with
its
what you
face.
posted, that we're liable to punishment?
Yes, but it depends on what you mean by punishment.
Okay, so what do you think it means?
You think it's an imputation of guilt. I am saying
No, I didn't
okay,
say
what,
that.
what do you think?
I think that we're liable to death.
What is that? What does that mean? How? By what mechanism?
By what mechanism? What does that
Yes.
even mean?
Is it an
What is the question?
imputation? Is it something in our nature? Did our nature change? What is it? You guys don't commit to anything. What is your
It's a
position?
flaw in our nature.
You just violated the confession.
The nature
of
didn't
Cynthia.
change.
Okay, then
How
what
did I
is the
not
flaw in the
violate?
nature?
It's original sin. It's the taint that is on our nature.
Oh my god, dude. What is that?
What I don't think it has substance. It's a privation of goodness.
Okay, well, now you're kind of going back on what you said earlier.
That's what you guys do. It's like it's
I
never
think it's pretty
to me.
clear. How was Jimmy
Yeah,
Well, I'm
described?
sure it
his
is in your
position
mind.
clear?
It's pretty clear. What I'm saying
Is
is
his
that
position
nobody.
clear, chat?
So what do you? Okay, then correct me. Then what are we liable to?
I'm waiting on the chat here. What are we liable to? That's what I'm asking
Yeah.
you. What do you think we're liable to?
Well, I'm asking you. You guys are the authorities here, right? According to yourselves, you're the authorities. Father Deacon is a deacon, of course. So he is a clergy member. So I'm asking, what are we liable to?
Death, the passions, sorrow, our personal transgressions, which Peter Mogila treats like very differently. That makes us liable to Gehenna for sure.
So are those things, they're punishments, right?
Yes, but you're playing it fast and loose with the term punishment. I can already tell. There are different senses to the term punishment. Christ took on our punishment. That doesn't mean that he has personal transgressions, obviously. It means that through kenosis, he took on blameless passions like thirst and hunger and tiredness. He had to sleep. Through kenosis, he even underwent death. In that sense, he took on our punishment, but not in the sense that your group and the people associated with this view that you have, not in the sense that they tend to go to, which is some Mikos said that there's no difference between how he sees PSA and the Reformed doctrine of PSA.
Yeah, I don't want to get into like other people. I'm like I said, I'm
I
not in
know,
their
because
discords.
you guys don't actually have a view.
Well, I'm not in their discords. Is my point.
So what?
I'm trying to
So
understand
we
what
don't have
you're
a problem
saying.
with the word punishment, right? Is an ontological consequence. What we have a problem with is, and we don't even have a problem using analogously legal language, right? But it's about what these terms, what we deny is that the punishment is from God as cause, and that it's a legal status and not an ontological status. So yes, we're all punished in the sense of receiving the consequence of transgress, and we can even talk about law in different ways, because somebody tried to be like, oh, I got you, see, like, is it the law? It's like, Well, there's laws of nature. There's ontological laws. There's laws of usia, right? There's different, and so what we inherit is the corruption, disorder, and death as a punishment. It does not come from God as cause, because as I pointed out, Saint Gregory Nyssa said, "How could the author of life itself, ever be the cause of death?"
Would you agree that the cause is the privation of the sustaining grace of the Holy Spirit?
No, in fact, I'm going to quote Augustine on this, because Augustine in both on Nature and Grace, and then Confessions, and I believe it's in the City of God too. He's going through the question about sin, and he's asking rhetorically the question of, well, where did sin come from? And it's like, well, okay, so like, I did a sin, or my parents did a sin, and he takes you back in the kind of reasoning that, but there was some point in which there was no sin or evil committed. So where did it come? He says that's a category error. You're asking for a cause for something that lacks a cause. In other words, you're asking for an efficient cause for something that's a deficiency. So no, you can't. So I'm actually going to quote Augustine there and be like, Augustine actually says, that's a nonsensical question to say that,
well,
something
Father Deacon, then what is the mechanism by which we die?
The mechanism by which we die? There is no mechanism. It's a loss of connection of the life and the energies of God.
Well, that's what I just said, that it's a privation of the grace of the Holy Spirit.
Yes, and
right?
Privations can't be causes.
Yeah, but that's what I just said it was. And then you said no. But okay, if we agree on that, that's fine.
But
Pronouns, okay. All right, well, that's the main thing. I just wanted to talk about St. Peter's Catechism. If you agree that we're liable to punishment in some sense, then I have nothing else to talk
We've
about.
never had a
Have
problem with
blessed Holy
those.
Week.
Yeah, we've never had a
I
problem
just
with
think
those words.
the sense is important. So if I came at you too hard, I'm sorry, okay? I think we can have peace over this thing, but we do need to actually sort out what the differences are. So
Well, I appreciate it.
appreciate you calling in, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. God
Appreciate
bless.
it. God
Bye-bye.
bless you. Blessed Holy Wednesday. Well, I guess it's Holy Thursday. You got the deacon there because I misspoke, and Thursday actually begins Wednesday. The morning begins in the evening. No, the evening begins in the morning. No,
The liturgical day.
the liturgical day, i.e., the morning, begins in the evening of the previous day.
Yeah, I just got some super chats, and then we're gonna go to Danilo Fernandez. I got $5 from Cool Dude. Pretty much all I know about these guys is they post mucho texto schizo memes. Truly a bizarre strategy. Well, sadly it's effective. Yeah. There's a comment also from Phenomenonymous.
This is hilarious.
Phenomenonymous, I think. Yeah. Will you be continuing the Tulip series soon? Our soon-to-be former Reformed Baptist pastor will not give his blessing to leave for the Holy Orthodox Church. I got excommunicated from my independent Bible Baptist church, which actually, because they have open communion, it's more just like a civil trespass. So, but,
well, that's interesting. I have a question about that.
Yeah.
I hear this too when people are leaving Reformed churches and PCUSA and stuff like that. They were like, I have to be released, or I have to get permission, and I have to go before. And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, that's the craziest.
Just leave.
Yeah, just like they don't have any hold. Like, if you're admitting they're a false church and you're going to the true church, well, I better check in. I better check in with my grapist and ask him if it's okay to, right?
Yeah. Your work is encouraging. Thank you. Yes, I will continue. I'll probably do Irresistible Grace and Perseverance of the Saints together, because it's just, I've kind of noticed as I've been going through Tulip, Like they start off with total depravity, and then each other letter is just supposed to solve the problem that they created to begin with. So they kind of go together in that way. And then I'll probably do like a one sum up video after that, I'm thinking. But yes, I will continue. $10. This is for FDA. I'm LC. Oh, thanks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm LCMS, but I'm convinced. I'm convinced Orthodoxy is the true church. My wife is the organist and music director at our church, and is a PK, pastor's kid.
Oh wow.
As former LCMS, any advice on how to make the change? It's a good question.
Oh man, that's
Definitely not for me. Not giving out pastoral.
like the hard part is the wife part. The director at. Well, I could just lie and be like, if you come to Orthodox Church, you would be blessed financially by the Lord. You will have 1,000-fold organs that
So
you
is
can
he.
play.
Yeah.
And direct. Well, it's, you know, you gotta go slow. You don't pressure your wife, lead by example. Invite her to some of the smaller services and things like that, and experience the Lord and the saints and the wonderful people that are in the parish.
Got $5 from Ego Bigo. Alex/FDA, can you suggest some good books on learning how to reason, think critically, and how to map out arguments and assess their strength? I would say from a lawyer perspective, there's this, where'd I put that little yellow book? Shoot. It's by, it's the publisher. Princeton University Press. How to Win an Argument. It's an anthology of Cicero and some commentary on it. It has like introductions and whatnot. So I think that's important. If you're a younger guy and like you're in college or undergrad, I'd say at least take one formal logic class, like a reasoning 101. I think that's pretty helpful. So I would recommend, this was a good one. This was very good, this yellow book by Princeton University Press.
I'm gonna plug my own book. This is new book that I'm writing. It's I'm joking. That's no offense to you. I'm not actually writing that book, but yeah. Take a logic class. It's really, that's a really great way to.
Yeah, or if you're older, audit in a logic class. Yeah, you can just pay like a few $100 and you can just attend it without credit. That'd be helpful too. All right, we have Danilo Fernandez. Thank you for your patience, man. What's up? What's your question? What's on your mind?
Good night, Father Deacon. You're blessed. First of all, my apologies because English, again, is not my main language. I barely speak in this language with other people. And so sometimes it just froze because I think in Portuguese and then I have to automatically translate to English.
Sure.
So this week I was thinking about Augustine juridical analogy, and I am a lawyer too. I have some.
Hello, counselor.
Yeah. I have some bare notions about Roman law because in Brazil, I live in Brazil, and we have a continental law system. So when we study civil law, we have to go to Roman law to see the roots of our laws and etc. 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 And so I was making some research on the notion of reatus and on the notion
your mic is kind of acting up a little bit, Danilo. Yeah. Sorry, if we could just I maybe just get to the question.
Is it
Sorry.
better now?
Yes.
Is it better now?
Yes.
I'm gonna try to be quick because I'm gonna try to connect Augustine, Irenaeus, and the Confession of Dosito. So yeah. So Reactus, from what I've gathered, it's not a punishment. It's a criminal procedural state. Like you are in a procedure, in a criminal procedure, and then you get restricted in some rights you have. But this is not a punishment. So when
So we're all out on bail, basically.
yeah, when Saint Augustine talks about we don't get the culpa, the guilt of Adam, but we get his reactus. I can see where he's trying to lead people,
That's
because
interesting.
yeah,
Good point.
Irenaeus talks about it too when he talks about the fall. He says God didn't curse Adam and Eve. He cursed the serpent, but not Adam. He transferred the curse of Adam to the earth.
Yes, it says
And
the
he's
ground will be cursed and it will produce thistles and thorns.
exactly.
Yeah.
And he also says that uh, man, even if he doesn't say with these words, but it's very heavily implied that even if we didn't fall, we still would need the logos to incarnate, to unite man to God. And the transgression of Adam was to try and have immortality without the world.
Right. Yes.
So, and he connects this with Jonah. He says that God made Jonah be dead in the whale so he could learn that he couldn't be alive without God.
I love that. Good insights, dude. Those are good points.
That's great, Danilo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I go to the details because I was reading through for the second time this week again the decrees and all the acts that Ubi recommended the translation of this guy. Now I just forgot his name. And what I saw in them, especially about the question of kids, children who died without baptism, is that first of all, uh, the confession is talking directly to Lutherans and Calvinists, because
It's a good
in
point.
the letter the bishops sent, the synod sent to the bishop, to the other bishops and to the faithful, they mention both by name, and they say that they are not Orthodox. We don't hold the same doctrines than them. And even by reading like very fast the decrees, you can identify when they are rejecting like double imputation, sola fide.
Yeah, they kind of go through the list. Yeah, like it's almost
Yeah,
like a checklist. Check, check, check. Like they addressed each thing.
yeah, and I noticed something about the baptism of children, uh, and it is that Calvinists, I think they don't believe the sacraments have like operative grace, right? You're saved when you believe, and the sacraments are just an exterior signal of your internal faith, but the sacraments don't save you. And the Zito says also, or the bishops
Yeah, I
in
think
their,
the term they use for the sacraments is a seal and a sign. Something like
yeah,
I've seen that. Yeah. There are some other Calvinist theologians that they might go further than that, but I've seen that language for sure.
yeah, and they, in the bishops say that, and Dositheus too, in his decrees, they say that uh, there were just people in the Old Testament. There were people who didn't have actual sins, and they say that a child who is baptized and dies, they are free from the propatorical sin, from the ancestral sin, from the hereditary sin, because they are baptized, and they are free from actual sins because they are children. So the mere fact that they are children, they don't have a personal sin.
Yeah.
And they also say that God doesn't punish people to hell if they don't have personal sin.
Yeah. That's
And
why I brought up St. Gregory of Nyssa earlier. St. Gregory of Nazianzus says the same thing. I think it's Oration 40 on baptism, where he says something similar. Father Deacon had a quote earlier talking about this too. Like, this is, I'm not sure where they get this idea that unbaptized babies straight to Gehenna. You know, it's just craziness.
Yeah, and they say that when a pagan who is just he practices good works, it's commendable for him. It doesn't causes him death, because a good work cannot bring death. But also they say that if they don't have the grace of God, they cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. So I thought that maybe what they were trying to get is reject the Protestant view that you're saved by faith alone. They were trying to get that even if a kid, if a child dies without baptism, even if this child doesn't have personal sin, it wouldn't be impossible for the child to be saved, but it would be necessary for the child to be saved by the grace of God.
Yeah.
So they're always trying to put the grace of God as the actual agent of
Yeah.
people's salvation, and
Yeah.
not an internal act of faith and a sentiment of the intellect or some kind of thing like this.
Yeah. Those are really good
And
points, Danilo. Yes.
yeah, and they also talk that the church judges only its faithful people, and they let the judgment of people outside the church to God. I don't
That's
know
another
what do
question
you.
that I had too when I was reading through these. I was like, is this talking about people within the church? Is this like restricted to church going people? Like, obviously, if you're a church going person and you have a child, you ought to baptize that baby. But then there's like
Yeah.
another end where it's like, if you're in the Amazon and you're some tribalman, some tribes person, I use the BIPOC term, in the Amazon somewhere, you never heard of the church, like, it's pretty unreasonable to expect somebody to get baptized. They just off intuition and gut feeling, right?
And if
like,
it was true that they were damned, why do we wait 40 days? Are we testing God? God, if you're God, obviously we'll wait 40 days. It's just so wouldn't you, as soon as they're physically, I guess, able to be baptize them.
Yeah, and it wouldn't make sense for example, in the Russian Orthodox Church, you have a special and separate service for children who die without baptism. It's not the same service for a child who dies with baptism.
That's a good point. Isn't there also a Russian Saint Varus, who's particularly a patron or intercessor for people that have reposed outside of the church?
I don't know. I've researched it, and
Chat,
it seems like
Saint
he's
Varus.
not.
Saint Varus chat. Does anybody know? Bill in the private chat says yes. So yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys think about it? Especially about this interpretation of the Ezekiel.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you're correct, Father Deacon.
Muito legal.
Okay, that's it. Good night, guys.
Thanks,
Alex.
Danilo.
Obrigado.
Okay. I'll do some super chats, then we'll go to Smokey and then Enchanted and then Bill. $5 from Taint Nothing. I guess they wouldn't be anti-abortion because being unbaptized, they'll just go to Gehenna. Excuse me. They'll just go to Gehenna anyway. It's a pretty crazy position.
Also, hey, I was just thinking about.
Yeah.
Well, catechumens are buried and given an Orthodox funeral.
They'll concede baptism of desire.
Oh.
But I feel like that kind of undermines their whole point.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
If they're going to rely on the passage in John that says you must be born of water and the Holy Spirit to enter the kingdom of heaven, if we're going to be literalists here, right? Texas P for $5. Churches of Christ listening to innocent babies. Because in Church of Christ, if you're a male and you're baptized, you're allowed to participate in like votes for like church finance and governance. It doesn't matter what age you are. God is a great physician. $5 says the Greek version is accepted by the council, was revised to remove the Latinized lean, and it's the authoritative version, which is an automatic defeater. I don't get, why are they trying to argue I'm allowed to use this Latin text? Sure, you can use it, fine. But if you're actually going to use it in an argument, expect to get called out for it. That's not what's actually affirmed by the council, dude. Good point. Thanks for the donation. Deacon Speaks, $5. What's up with the feminine energy and upspeak from the Latinizers? It's basically like dealing with sedes. Yeah, I agree. Any opinions, Father Deacon, on the feminine energy and upspeak from the Latinizers? I think you actually talked about this at the beginning of the stream.
Yeah, there's another. It's not effeminate. It's the F word, and I'm not gonna say that F word. The other F word.
Yeah. Kingdom Kid 7225, $4.99. Thank you. Strongest rebuttal of the night. You better shut your mouth when you're talking to me. FDR. JK, thanks for the stream. FDR. Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Father Deacon Roosevelt.
Father Deacon Roosevelt. Thanks for the donation. God is a great physician, $5. The fact that they de-Latinized the catechism shows they thought it was a problem, by the way. Good point. Good point. Llama Fish, $5. Just joining the stream. I'm on the right side of this civil war. Dude, am I not allowed to say the W word? Great. Demonetized. Wrecked. My whole YouTube career is over, bro.
Well, Counselor, I certainly see that this is a Latin war of aggression.
It's a they are the aggressors.
Yeah.
Here. But I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, like, this is not a civil war. I clickbaited you guys. That's why there's a question mark. Civil war? There's your upspeak. There you go, right? It's a small group of online, most like 99.9999% anons, and even the ones that are willing to show their face are not willing to put themselves out there in terms of ecclesial accountability. So this is not a real, this is just a small group of rabble rousers. The only reason why I engage them is because outright enemies of holy orthodoxy, like people that have big platforms, are now going to them using their arguments against us. So the idea is like, look, if you're Orthodox, like, let's get on the same page here. That's why I escalated the whole thing to basically pull them out of the shadows and the darkness.
Light's a good sanitizer. Bring them out into the light.
Exactly. Yeah.
I often do this. My wife says, why are you engaged with just block this person? Now, 75% time she's right, but 25% it's actually correct. That what I'm trying to do is give them enough rope to hang themselves. Then I'm like, I want the audience to see how they behave, the sort of terrible arguments that they give, etc. And then I block them.
I too have taken to the blocking lately.
Yeah, I'm in a block party.
I'm pretty lenient in people criticizing me because just like generally I don't care. I'll usually tap on them. It'll be like 49 followers. I'm like, oh well, I don't care. But lately it's just no tolerance at all. You guys should watch Mad Men. $2 from accounts payable. I did watch it, but it does not have many Christian virtues, I will say.
No, it does not. Yeah.
Thanks for the donation, guys. I guess I'll give you what do we got here?
My
and how about
Complete, inspired, inerrant, infallible, indestructible Word of God, the 66th book, King James Bible, amen.
There's so much zeal in this 66th book, King James Bible, amen. What's up, Smokey? What's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you kind of talked about this like a little bit earlier. I'm just curious because I don't mess around with Twitter or Discord or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're really missing out on life, man. You should...
Yeah, there's a whole world out there that I haven't even seen yet.
That's crazy.
So, I was kind of curious that title of this stream kind of caught my attention. Can you give me the breakdown of this like Protestant insurgency? Like, what's the history behind this? Where did this start? Where does it come from? I have no idea.
I'll give you like the bullet points because I did cover it a little bit at the beginning of the stream. But basically, so Protestant insurgency, it's crypto-Protestant because there's a small group of online anons that are like anonymous people that have like anime profile pictures that ostensibly claim to be Orthodox, right? However, they have been not only counter-signaling, outright disparaging the clergy that are forward-facing on social media, not only calling them non-Christian, calling them anti-Christian, effectively calling them antichrist. We have pretty strict rules within Holy Orthodoxy about showing deference to clergy. There's a canonical tradition where we have certain canons that explain the relationship between laity and clergy, documents from councils that we have to adhere to that talk about lay people getting involved in theological discourse, in spiritual things. And for years now, they have gone around and they've like misrepresented, caused a lot of trouble, basically. And normally I would just ignore them because they're a small group of people. They're like young guys, mostly like early 20s, maybe late teens, some of them under 18 that are going out there causing trouble. However, their arguments are now starting to be appropriated by bigger platforms, which is why I went through the beginning of the stream on X. I escalated a lot of the rhetoric with them so that they can come out of the shadows and we can talk about it and either totally refute them and show the world that they don't know what they're talking about or come to some resolution on this. But there's the long and short of it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that basically answers it.
There's nothing to do with actual Protestants.
Okay, I was gonna say, it kind of caught me off guard. I know you guys brought up the whole like unbaptized infants going to hell thing, and I know Banter with Bojan, I think that's how you pronounce it. You know, the Serbian guy that runs Bible Illustrated.
Oh, I'm familiar. I don't know him, but I'm familiar with his stuff.
Yeah, like I think a couple days ago, he dropped a video that was like talking about a while ago, he had already dealt with people making these kinds of arguments, and he was having another go of it on Twitter. So I've been having like little bits of info about this underground civil war like filtering down into my feed while I have no idea what's actually happening on the front line, so to speak, because again, I don't mess around with Twitter or anything. But yeah, I was just curious. Yeah, I guess that's basically it. I hope this reaches a conclusion and these guys stop. I guess I don't know. That's
they gotta cut it out. If you're watching,
yeah,
cut it out.
Just please stop.
Grow up. Cut it out. Go to your spiritual father. Like,
all right.
Thanks for calling in, Smokey. Yeah. Nice guy. Enchanted Hero, what's on your mind?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hello, Father. Hello, Alex. I'm Orthodox. I'm 21, right? So I'm a layman here. I'm not going to teach correct clergy or anyone. I just wanted to quickly diffuse the situation with Peter Magila, because God bless Latinizers, because they actually made me look up his life, and it's fascinating. The time period,
like
the
God makes
political
all things work out for the good of those who love him, right?
Yeah, and I just wanted to share a little bit.
Yeah, please.
So he
just
was
try to be succinct, because we do have some people in the queue, and I want to be respectful of Father Deacon's time as well.
Oh yeah. I'll be quick. It just he lived during Peter I's father's reign in Moscow, so right before the reforms in Russia. He was under the Constantinople's patriarchate. He lived in Kiev. He was the metropolitan there. And that territory was under the Polish Republic. That's how they called themselves. And when he became the metropolitan, he basically fixed a lot of churches, a lot of monasteries. They found relics of Saint Vladimir, who baptized Rus, and he, alongside Patriarch of Moscow, he basically started a campaign of publishing a lot of books, Psalms, Bibles in Slavonic, right, in ancient Russian. And Polish people really did not like him because he wanted to create a parallel university system for Orthodox. And he, despite some of these Latin elements, he was going away from them. And so the question is, why wouldn't the synod accept the Latin version of his text? Well, he was himself going away from that, and Latins really did not like that. And the Greeks would just refine a little bit the wording there so it wouldn't be confused. And that would be totally in line with what Peter Mogila would want.
Yeah, there's a comment here from Naval Orange Gazer. He says, St. Peter was actually a de-Latinizer, which makes it so painfully ironic that the Latinizers try to make him their guy. Yeah.
Yeah. The history is just fascinating. I just wanted to share it.
Well, I think that's another, thanks for calling in, Enchanted, good points. But Father Deacon, I think that's another reason why you shouldn't have 17, 18, 19-year-olds that have no professional training or no experience in these things to go out and presumably to be doing this kind of work, right? Without any scrutiny or oversight or like at their own discretion, they're going to go and do this. Like, I think with Father Stephen's work, that it becomes so evident to me because not his whole thing, but one of the things that one of the reasons why he sticks out to me is the cultural context of the time. How would people have understood this when this was written? And like getting into their shoes.
Yes, Counselor. Children shall be seen, not heard.
Val Orthodoxia says one of those PSA guys debated Sneeko a while back, Amanda. He has now schismed from the church and turned true Orthodox. Well, I heard two things. I heard either he outright schismed and joined the true Orthodox and then came back, or he got really close to schisming or apostatizing, and then he like changed his mind last second or something.
That's what I heard too. But he's not, thank God, T.O.
Yeah. By the way, if that was me and I got that close to apostasy and my spiritual father knew about it, I would never be doing another video on YouTube ever again, probably for my entire life. I can't believe that he got that close to apostasy. It's known publicly. And like a few days later, he goes and makes a video about PSA and he's 21. I'm just like gobsmacked by like the insolence and the gall of these people at zero ecclesial accountability. There's no way his spiritual father, if he has one at all, knows about what's going on.
And there was one of I've told you, there was one of these guys that, what was it? The guy was supposedly in UK or somewhere and said, oh, his priest is, somebody was telling me, oh, his priest is, he was a Latinizer, of course. His priest has given him the blessing to teach and be a catechist. I'm like, at 20 years old. Like, this chrism's not even dry yet. And it's like, here's somebody that...
Well, it's also, that's not permission to do anything online. Maybe it's like the priest is doing catechism and he's there helping. Like, I don't know, right?
That's why I said, and, like Father Andrew always tells me, one of the priests up in Great Falls, always everything in writing. Everything in writing. Because you're loose when you're just speaking, right? Like somebody might ask something, they could twist the words or something like that, or you say something in passing, But when you
Or they're not
write
paying
something,
attention and they say something they don't mean. But I think you're right, Father Deacon. We need to something specific that lays out exactly what permissions do you
what
have.
are you allowed to do? And your priest signs it. He knows he's going to be a lot more reluctant of putting his name on something.
He's gonna be more specific and more careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Until then, I do not believe you. If you're causing problems, I'm going to default and assume you are an enemy and you're not part of the church until proven otherwise, right? Because of these problems. Now, if you're just a person asking questions or you're confused, I wouldn't do that. But if you're one of these, let's just assume, because people are like, how do you talk to brothers like that? It's like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Idiot? Like,
is that there's a bunch of people in this movement that like are just kind of in it for the lulz and is maybe like just trailing along and like tailing these guys. When I use the terms like vile, demon, son of Satan, I'm talking about the people that are spearheading this movement. If you're like some 14-year-old kid that's tagging along, obviously I don't think you're a son of Satan. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you, Father Deacon. I hope I didn't mess up.
But yeah, in light of that, I mean, we're just gonna have to, because like we were talking before, for crying out loud, it could be like some kid says, "Can I talk to my parents about orthodoxy?" And the priest in passing over coffee hour says, "Yes." "Oh, cool! I got a blessing to teach." But I guarantee you, there's no priest that would ever give a 21-year-old the ability, especially today.
Yeah, it's a good point.
In this day and age, even if they were Orthodox their whole life, but like, I'm going to make them the catechist. Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it.
Yeah. You got 2 short super chats, and then we'll go to Bill. $2 from accounts payable. Is smoking a sin? Tobacco, for example, no green. I think there are some saints that are pretty against smoking.
Well, it depends if that
tobacco.
Word is translated in Latin or Greek.
It's an excellent point. But there's also that I don't know if it's an anecdote. I think it's from St. Paisios, where he says, there's the story about the monk who had like fetal alcohol syndrome, and like all his life he would drink like 50 beers a day or something, and then by the time he reposed, he was still drinking a lot, but he was down to like 8 beers a day or something. And
so I asked the priest. Go ahead. Sorry,
yeah.
I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I mean, that's the gist of the story. Is that St. Paisios said that it's like the progress that you make, right? It's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I asked the priest up here because there were people spurging out on this. And I just tell them everything's a sin. Everything that you do, and God will come and get you and punish you. He's a punishing God, right? And anything is a violation of the law, and you will be held accountable on judgment. No, I asked the priest on that, all the priests up here, and they said, well, again, sin can mean different things, right? Generally speaking, when we say that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, it can mean personal action, or it could be missing the mark in the sense that we've inherited the consequences and death and all these different things. And so they said, look, suppose, for example, because I asked Father, I was supposed to turn, and you can imagine like autists get really hung up on this kind of stuff, but when I was switching lanes, I was supposed to turn the turn signaler. And scripture says that, we're to obey the laws of the land. Did I sin? Huh? They would be like, no, not really. Yes and no, but it's not a sin. You have to take the confession. So they said, typically, we conceive of the things that we want to, the sins that we're talking about that you want to confess are soul-destroying actions. Could smoking be one of those? Could be. Depends, right? But Father Russell says, I tend to take, could you do better? And Father Russell will talk about, like, all of us are going to beat ourselves up after, Pascha, about how bad we did this Lent. right? Father Russell says, and you know, I'll go to the confession, Father, I failed. He'll say, you haven't failed. You can only do better. Isn't that great? And
That's
so
lovely.
I'd say with smoking, maybe, I mean, it could be, probably not for most cases. Could you do better?
Yes. So God meets you where you're at. Otherwise, we're going to be totally like autistic and be like, whoa, sugar. Did I eat too much? Did not put a signaler on. You know
By
what I mean?
defiling
Like,
the temple of the Holy Spirit?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like everything.
You can't have a Big
becomes
Mac?
sin.
Well, I mean, now you can't have a Big Mac, but...
Yeah. Anyways, I hope that helps.
Yeah. Yibo says smoking is a sin for Russians and vodka is a sin for Serbians.
I thought in the Russian church smoking wasn't a sin. I remember my priest and I, when we went to a pilgrimage to Russia, he's like, you see how awesome those deacons are, right? They're like, right? He's like, you know how to get it? I'm like, how did... He's like, well, they smoke and drink vodka all day. I'm like, really?
Really low voices, yeah. In the Filth, $2 says, where should these young people direct their zeal? Probably in like handing out lunches to homeless people and submitting to their spiritual father and becoming active members in the real world, get a job, get some professional training.
Work shall set you free. No, wait, that's not the line. Anyway. Sorry, guys.
Get a job.
Work, though. They're like, you find... in fact, I'm actually writing about this with Sfinte Demetrius Stanley,
about what creation and ascetical work, you find your salvation and your virtues through that. That's what they need. They need to work. What are they not doing? What are they actually doing? They're sitting, not touching grass, virtually online.
Yeah. Val Orthodoxia, what's up, dude? Good to see you in the chat. He says, priests in the UOC are vehemently against smoking. My spiritual father does not. He's very, very...
Well, if you want to smoke, you need to find a Greek priest. I'm joking.
Yeah.
By the way, all these are jokes because they're going to clip me and be like, oh, we got him.
He's universal authority. Oh, no. All right, next up, thanks for your patience, guys, in the call queue, by the way. We have Bill up next. What's up, Bill? How you doing?
Hey, guys. How's it going? I was the guy that was on last time when Father Stephen DeYoung was on. When he was asking about universalism. Also, it's an honor to finally get to talk to Father Deacon Ananias. I see you in all of Jay's videos. It's great to meet you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. God bless you.
Oh, thank you very much. I came in. I'm going to stay on topic, and then I might slightly deviate off. But the PSA stuff, PSA is like the most. It's the doctrine that I probably hate the most in the Protestant sphere. It actually led me to getting. Are you guys familiar with the Anchor Bible commentary?
No, I'm not.
I got actually here this enormous book on Leviticus. This is one of 3 volumes by Jacob Milgram.
Oh, cool.
And he just goes through the entire sacrificial system of Leviticus, and he basically tells you everything.
I was gonna say that's a pretty thick book for 16 chapters, man.
That's it is over 1,067 pages.
That's
this
wild.
is volume 1 of 3. But Father Stephen DeYoung will probably tell you in 4 sentences what is in all 3 of those volumes. So
that's why he has the reputation he has, because
but
he's
basically,
a brainiac.
He just there's also a page I'm gonna promote right now. He's called Leviticus is Fun. Highly recommend you look it up. Very small channel, and he's obsessed with Leviticus, and he talks about everything wrong with PSA. He talks about what sacrifice is, and he breaks down all of those little details.
I was gonna say, independently of what you're saying, I also in like the last week or so, I've had the itch to just be like, let's revisit Leviticus, like word by word, like line by line, just so that I can get this like the Old Testament shadows and the New Testament type, just so that I can get it like down really, really well.
Hey,
Father
Bill,
Deacon,
is it as big as this book?
Oh my gosh, is that a Harry Potter book? What the heck is that? Oh my gosh, that's
Ralph Waldo
crazy.
Emerson.
Have you read that?
The gospel, like the big old gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah, like back in the day that the deacons
Primudros.
Yeah.
Do the entrance with that.
Yeah, I bet.
But no, Leviticus, I think it's, and I get it. Nobody wants to read Leviticus, but when you realize that like sacrifices are meals and they're also like offerings. I also went through Father Stephen Young's whole Counsel of God when he goes through Leviticus, and he mentions how obviously the scapegoat isn't offered because then it's given sins and you're offering something defiled. And I think it's in the book. I think it's Lamb of the Free by Andrew Rillera also goes into this, and he mentions how in Hosea chapter 4, it might be verse 8, it says the priests eat the sin, which is literally hatat. So it says they eat the sin in the temple, but are they literally ontologically eating sin? No, they're eating the sin offering. But the word for sin offering and sin is the same word. So when they say,
Father Stephen makes that connection about when the St. Paul says, "He who knew sin became sin for us." He says that the Hebrew equivalent to the Greek term there refers to that sin offering. So he became a sin offering. He who knew no sin became a sin offering for us.
Yeah, and that word is literally hatat, like hat, tat, or whatever. It's the same word. So yeah, I can't stand PSA because I like that Jay.
Not in the Bible. That's like my whole objection to it too.
It's blasphemous. It's horrible. It's awful. But veering slightly off, I wanted to ask because Father Deacon, you are a big philosophy guy, and I wanted to get your approach because last time I came in here, I asked about universalism. And a lot of these people who come out, some people, there was one guy in the private chat who knows about Baxter Kruger and John Crowder and these people, and they'll twist the fathers like Maximus the Confessor and, of course, Gregory of Nyssa, or they'll pull Origen out of the closet, and then they'll say, look, if Christ is all, they'll say, Christ will be all in all, or everybody will bow and everybody will confess, therefore everybody is saved. And we know that there is a universal resurrection, that everybody will be resurrected.
Yeah, there's an actual apostasis. It's very similar to what we're doing with having to do with the Latinizers. Yes, there's an apostasis. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah, I would love if you would, as much as you're willing to, if you could show like where they're mixing up like Maximus the Confessor's stuff or things like that. I'm sure you know much more than I do, but I have friends who are into universalism because they're like, oh, if Christ will be all in all, then that must mean everybody is saved. Or they'll take like the Calvinist reading of Ephesians where it says everybody who's predestined in Christ will go, oh, that's everybody because we're all in Christ because he was crucified for the foundations of the world. Whoa.
They don't. I mean, it's a long conversation. I don't want to take up too much time, but let's just say, just as St. John of Damascus says, every heresy is a confusion of nature and person. They're not understanding nature, person, and will and motive willing. So they actually don't know and understand like what motive willing is, how, and what recapitulation of nature. So everything is put back right. Okay. But the way that we will, right? We will either towards God or against God. That's a distinction between all these things we're talking about. Between nature, person, and will, which is a property of nature, and the person actually wills. The problem is, so they're confusing these things, and the other thing too is, so God does fix everything, but he'll never override your free will. And second of all, you're outside of time, so you can't change. That's why the problem isn't that we're going to die. The problem is that we're going to live forever. And the way we are, our mode of willing will be the mode of willing when all of nature is restored. That's the short and sweet of it. But there's a lot of stuff there,
Yeah, that's kind of. I was at I mentioned this to Father Stephen DeYoung that I was at Jordanville and with my friend we were visiting and we were eating lunch and they were reading from Ignatius Brownjanov's book or one of his series, and it talks about that part where it says that people will be. I mean, this is in the gospel. It talks about they're bound hand and foot, and he says this is important to see that that this is it. Like this, there is no like wait, but I'm going to, because I have a friend who's like, oh well, if people experience hell for a certain amount of time, they'll change their mind. Like there's like, I don't know, it's like a waiting room that's on fire. And they're like, eventually you'll decide to get up and walk into the other room or something like that. I don't know where they get
Western. I think that David Bentley Fart has, like, I read all, I'm like, he's so Western in his thinking. So he reads all that stuff into the text. It's clear as day. soteriology, all these different issues. And I'm like, of course he ends up there.
Well, he's a Marcionite. I don't know if you know that.
He's a farter and a Marcionite? What are the
Dude,
odds?
the jokes just write themselves. You have Jordan B. Pooper, Joshua Pooping, you have David Bentley Fart.
This is,
No, of
I
course
hate
he's a
this is my humor.
Marcionite. No, I knew that, yeah.
But yeah, no, there's a video actually by Jordan Pooper. Now you got me doing it. He actually reviews David Bentley Hart's an article that he wrote on Mars. He's like, is he a Marcionite? And he basically he is. It's crazy. And I guess according to his book, he says that like I can't believe in a God that would do X, Y, Z. So already you're entering in with this. I will only
Incredulity.
I flipped
incredulous
on these guys before too, and I've said I would never believe or worship a God who is the God you're saying. And they were like, what? And I'm like, no, I actually think that would be an evil God. What it would take for him to actually save everybody in your universalist way, I think would not be very godlike. And I refuse to worship a God that... So I actually flip it on them, and they're like, you should see their face. They're like, well, that's my argument. No, it's mine now. I'm the captain now.
I love taking the slogans from Protestants. Like I'll talk to them about like if I debate sola fide or whatever, I'll be like, yeah, some people believe in this man-made doctrine of faith alone. I only believe what the scriptures teach, not what man teaches. And they go, ah, they like short circuit.
Oh, I tell them that too. You traditions, I'm like, you're literally a man-made religion, tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the new Protestant band, Traditions of Men, with their hit single, Call No Man Father.
Well, thank you guys for your for taking my call. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll let you get to everybody else, but it was great talking to you guys. Have a great night.
Thanks, Bill. Oh, we have Tesfa in the chat. What's up, Tesfa? How you doing, man? What's your question?
Very simple. I just want to know if, like, in Eastern Orthodoxy, y'all believe like in like original righteousness, because I've seen like a lot of like Protestants, the way they'll articulate, especially, I forget what that one guy's name is. I think it was Canon Creed. I forget his name, but he would articulate original sin as like the loss of original righteousness. And so I was wondering if y'all would, what you guys would say to that.
And I haven't seen the term in the fathers, so like I'm just hesitant whenever I use language that if I deviate away from the language that we see the Holy Father is using.
Yeah, but I think that's fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I would
but
say
I mean,
no, because remember what it says in James, and Abraham's works are counted righteousness to him, and so Adam and Eve were in a nascent kind of state in the prelapsian era. They had not actually done works or acquired virtues, and that's what righteousness is. So like, no, they were kind of in the same place that the unbaptized infants are.
Really?
Like, they were in paradise, but they hadn't actually achieved the virtues of theosis.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was no righteousness in them because you have to actually work to acquire righteousness.
Right. So they were created innocent, and then they fell from that, and then became guilty. But that guilt doesn't necessarily like follow to their children. And with that, would you guys also reject like any kind of liable guilt? Because I've heard a lot of them make the distinction between like culpability and liability.
yeah, I still don't understand what the difference is in that distinction. Like, nobody can explain it to me.
I think it's like how debts work. Like, for
Sounds
example,
like even you have to speculate on it, but go ahead, I guess.
Yeah. I believe that it's like how debts work. So like a debt can pass on. Like I can be liable to my father's debt if it's like something that he did under my name or something like that. That's just
It just makes you both liable to pay the debt.
Yeah, pretty much. So like, for example, with original righteousness or the original grace which God had given Adam and Eve, when that's lost, now humanity has to bring that back to God. And so when they can't do that,
I understand there's a distinction in the Latin, but I'm just saying, like, I don't get what they are trying to do with that. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think for them, they're just trying to go from, so there is a debt that humanity has, and that's just simply where they get original sin from, rather than it being
That's
anything
not
more
the
than
kind of debt that an ancient Israelite would have used, or a first century AD Pharisee. That would not have been their understanding of debt. This is like the term redemption there is talking about, like, literally going and buying out a debt slave from whatever debt he owed. That's what it means, that he paid off our debt, right? So it's a redemption of these people that are slaves to the devil, to death, right?
Right.
We belong to the devil. And when he comes and he defeats death, he redeems us by paying off that debt in terms of, like, debt slavery. So you think of the Passover, right? All of Israel, they're slaves to Egypt, to the Pharaoh. So
so
Christ
then I think,
redeems them,
yeah.
takes them out of debt slavery. That's what he does with us. That's why in, like, at least two places, you know, I know St. John is explicit in comparing Christ's atonement to the Passover lamb. St. Paul also is explicit in comparing it to the Passover lamb. So I think that should be, like, one of the primary lenses.
Yeah,
It's not that, like, our sin. It's like a really weird way that they're looking at it, totally divorced from what the Bible makes it out to be.
Well, your explanation actually, like, really reminds me of the parable of the prodigal son, when he, like, leaves his
Yes.
father.
Who took the
Yeah.
punishment for the parable son? That's a great point.
Yeah,
His father
yeah.
just forgave him after he
Exactly.
repented.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good point.
And he was
Yeah.
freed. He was freed from destruction and death, and right.
But one thing that I would say is, even in that, I'm just trying to, like, speculate from their side, you know. So maybe they might say, like, well, he still was lost his inheritance. If the prodigal son is to represent humanity there, well, now you have humanity being losing their inheritance that they had from God, you know, and it being restored after they repent. You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
It's interesting, man. Language is a really tricky thing, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate it a lot, though. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, but thanks for calling in. I like Tesfa. He's a non-Chalcedonian, but he's very respectful and cool guy. How much more time do you have left, Father Deacon? Can you go for?
I don't know. Let's do another 15 minutes or so.
All right, sounds good. Hopefully, catechumen. We do have some other callers in the queue, so let's try to keep it succinct. What's up? Hopefully, catechumen.
What's going on, guys? It's a pleasure to talk to you guys, Will.
Yeah. What's up?
So for reference, sorry, I'm in the gym right now of the kuffar, but so
Okay.
you guys caught me at a bad time. But I'm an ex-Muslim, and so I've been inquiring into Orthodoxy.
Well, I'm glad you came out of that. That's a hard one to come out.
Yeah, and I'm very like I was not, like, you know, a sheikh or anything. But I'm like, for a layman. I mean, I'm like a deacon. You know, I'm very ordained in the text. Like, I spent the last, like, 5-6 years of my life, like, dedicating it almost entirely to the religion. But that's something, you know, it's neither here nor there. But I've been inquiring into Orthodoxy. I picked up a Bible for the first time in my life in September.
Glory to God.
And alhamdulillah. And so I started with talking and learning Catholicism and kind of Protestantism, you know, not on purpose, like, you know. And so what happened was, I kind of just found the Orthodox, you know, theology, so on and so forth. So I'll keep it brief. But I have two questions. And I watch you guys all the time. You guys are great, to be honest. But two questions for you or Father Deacon. And so the questions would be on the historicity or reliability of the scripture in specific regards to the Old Testament and maybe some of the Gospels, and if we can interpret, like, Genesis or Exodus, these things as metaphorical or symbolic, or, you know, like, not necessarily, you know, as happening, and why, and so on and so forth. And if you guys have any books, and then I'll ask you, Alex, as a lawyer, if you could discuss the different, like, resurrection accounts. That's a lot. It's kind of, I don't want a shotgun here, but I'm just, you know, like, I'm just going for it, man. But yeah, thank you guys.
On the resurrection accounts, I take generally the same view that St. John Chrysostom does, that they're said from different perspectives. And of course, everybody's going to have a different account from what happened. They're different people. Although they're looking at the same event, they may perceive it in different ways, right? So the last words of Jesus on the cross is like one of the famous ones, right? If he's standing right there with the Theotokos right before Christ on the cross, he's going to hear that the last words are, "It is finished." But if, you know, some witness is standing far away, they might not hear that, right? There's a Protestant YouTube channel, so I'm, you know, take him with a grain of salt, but
You're good. Yeah, you're good.
but he does good work on this. I think Testify, where he talks about the resurrection accounts, the crucifixion accounts, and also there's a strong argument, I think, from undesigned coincidences in the gospel accounts. And although I disagree with him on, you know, the kind of Christianity that he picked, I think he does good work when it comes to the text. When it comes to the accounts in Genesis, I think the Holy Fathers, like in St. Basil's Hexameron, they teach us to not take it hyper literally. I think my understanding is that hyper literal reading of Genesis is a new thing, like in the last 200 years or so. There's also a pretty big book from Father Seraphim Rose called Genesis, Creation, and Early Man, the Orthodox Christian Vision, where he...
Can you repeat the author again? Sorry?
Yes.
Father...
I'll do you one better. I'll show you the book. It's
Oh,
Father
just,
Seraphim Rose,
Thank you.
Genesis, Creation, and Early Man, the Orthodox Christian Vision by Father Seraphim Rose. This is a very comprehensive overview of like the permissible range of views to have on the Genesis account, pulling from the Holy Fathers. So, Father Deacon.
Yeah, get it. That's the book.
Yeah, you guys are great, man, honestly. And, you know, Orthodoxy is a beautiful thing, you know. My friends are, I'm Arab, and so my friends, they go to Antiochian Orthodox Church. And so it's beautiful. I went for Shanina for, I think, Palm Sunday. It's like, and it was beautiful, man. So God bless you guys, man. And if you ever need to cook Islam, you know, I'm here for you guys. I'm telling you, man.
But
yeah.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you guys. Have a good one.
I'm gonna try to go through the callers quickly here. So, Stevo 410 Beast, what's up? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, you guys? Just to give y'all some context, I've just been researching the Orthodox Church, kind of coming out of the Churches of Christ, and I viewed your...
Okay. I love Church of Christ people.
Yeah, man, me too. There's a lot of similarities, but I just thought of...
I think you guys prioritize the same things that we do. So there's like a bit of an echo, sorry, but...
I was baptized in the Church of Christ when I was a kid.
It's kind of wild, I guess. One of my big questions is I did talk to a father here to try to start the catechumen process. I'm kind of nervous about the whole thing, though. What would be your recommendation, as in, like, because I've been getting on TikTok talking about, like, my journey. What would be, should I even talk about it? Because I know you guys are kind of like, hey, you know, I'm not like a spearheader or anything, but it's like, I'm barely into it. Would you guys keep away from that and just do the research and not speak about the journey? Would that be okay? And how would you, I guess, approach the whole thing from like Church of Christ worldview, like, you know, very integrated, and like, how would I enter into the communal life of the church? Because I'm nervous about that. It's like so different, but I agree with so many things you guys have going on. But it's a different world completely.
Yeah, no pressure. First of all,
can Stevo, can you mute for a second? Because
Let me mute.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with telling about one's journey. You know, story and narrative is very human. It's a good way to connect to people, and you know, don't rush it. Like, you know, take your time, and don't feel the pressure. You don't need to see it as like, I've got to do this, or, you know, learn all of this stuff. Enjoy it. Like, just keep your eyes and ears open and just soak it all in. That's the best. And enjoy your time as a catechumen. That's my recommendation. And it all come. You'll feel uncomfortable about stuff. We all probably did, about various issues. It all gets worked out. And it gets worked out in an incarnational way of just like, you're there with the people. You're in the church of Christ, the real church of Christ. And you learn it incarnationally. It changes you.
Yeah. Father Stephen always says, God is patient with us, so you be patient with yourself. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys. That's pretty much my questions, man. I'll let you guys get to some other callers. Thank you guys for having me on, man.
Thanks for calling, Steve-O. Ozzy Emery's, what's up, man? You've been very patient. You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. What's up, man?
Hello. Sorry, I've been playing a bit of tag there, but
yeah.
Well, first of all, to be slightly on topic, I heard you guys talking before. I am someone who came out of the Reformed Baptist and was excommunicated for denying PSA.
I know that well. Yeah, I know the feeling.
From that point of view, it wasn't even trespassing. I could go back. I just couldn't have the reminder of the Eucharist. So, yeah. So that's and I don't, again, to be on topic, from a slightly different angle, the whole PSA and the original guilt, original sin, etc. I don't see what the appeal is. That's one of the things that, like, or the theosis salvation of orthodoxy, I just found so much more beautiful and full. And I don't know why people seem to want to keep going back to it. I don't know.
I heard Jonathan Peugeot talk about this once, and he was just it might technically be an incredulity fallacy, but there's also maybe an argument to be made just like from aesthetics, where he's like, dude, I have theosis, dog. I have energies. Why on earth ever would I go back to a double legal imputation? Like, that's horrible. It's just a bad story. It just sounds lame.
Which again points to the personality traits issue rather than the actual substance. Anyway, I'll stop making myself unpopular with certain crowds.
I think that if I could just add to that, I've been watching the sort of kind of people that fall for this and like this, and like I said, it's the inverse of our knowledge comes through the experiential, right, incarnational, and that's really kind of almost in the right brain as Dr. Ian Gilchrist, right? These people live in the left brain, the quantitative propositional. So it's like honey traps for autists, right? Like they're just like, oh, cool, look, I've got this whole system kind of laid. This is why they argue all these things. And actually, that's the easy work. I always tell like my philosophy students, this philosophy is actually easy. The hard stuff is the moral and practical, like, pastoral stuff. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work. So I think that kind of goes into it. Like, I think that, anybody, I'll just read this and I'll do the formula. But that's like second and tertiary kind of removed from reality. And the real work is down, boots on the ground, the incarnational, and it takes time. And I'll end with this. I get questions all the time about ethical questions. Like, what's the formula for this? I'm like, there is no formula. That's like utilitarian or like,
that's a good point. It sounds like
it's virtue
utilitarian.
Ethics. Like, it's Aristotle says, how do you know? Well, you go ask the good man, the one who has the virtue. So they don't like that, right? They want and it's funny they call us modernists because they literally have a modernist ideology of formulas. Like, I want the algorithm, I can get the algorithm, I don't have to work hard at it, or go to the virtuous or the wise person for a prescription or answer on this. I want it myself. And I think that sort of person, that PSA and all this stuff appeals to.
Yeah, it's that sort of tendency to abstraction and systematics and stuff that Dr. McGurkish talks about.
Thank you for bringing that up. Sorry, but I'm always telling my audience, look out for abstractions. I'm glad you guys talk about that too.
Yeah, which again, it's one of those things where, coming out of the once saved, always saved tulip kind of background, I would often say like they would sort of decry the works righteousness and things. And I would say day to day, do you feel like, and only feel like, you're making an effort to pray, to do the right thing here, like, you know, to become more like Christ every day? And they'd sort of say, yeah. I'm like, well, like, we're experiencing the same kind of thing there. And so what's the problem? Well, it's my understanding of how it works is the problem. And so it was, the abstraction was the only problem. And then that's why you get excommunicated. To switch topics a little bit, I've got a friend who is slowly kind of destroying his life by becoming a Unitarian, who's not Orthodox. He's sort of evangelical, I'd call it non-denominational, or sort of an Arminian Baptist type thing. And discussions that I've seen so far, and even debates from people who otherwise I think are excellent and solid online, often turn into sort of proof texting and, oh, well, but that doesn't mean eternal, doesn't mean that he is divine. I know there's differences between the way that, you know, using the God and versus, you know, Jesus claiming to be God. He wouldn't necessarily claim to be. Yeah, he wouldn't claim to be the God because that's the Father in our view. Like, so, but he does make divine claims. But there's just a bit of a, like, I guess you call it like a quote scriptural quote line pissing contest that goes on, and then no one gets anywhere. And I'm just trying to figure out whether or not you guys have come across a particular paradigm level or slightly removed of like, okay, here's what you need to consider, because I think, I mean, he's making a huge mistake in my opinion, and it is destroying his and his family's life. And I just want to,
so glad that you
if I can help with
that. I had some Muslim stalker on my stream the last couple. I kept blocking and he kept coming under another. But he wanted to do the same. They're Unitarians, right? So stop me if you've heard this one. But he was like, you know, if you can show me in the scriptures where I'd change my mind, which is a lie. They never will. And it gets into, it's the same reason why when Matt Slick says, let's go to the scripture, I wouldn't. Not... right? Because I knew that's exactly, it's just going to be this back and forth, well, you know, that just means one purpose with God. It doesn't mean he's claiming equality with, right? Like, it just goes, it's like it's never fruitful. So typically what I do, rather than going this back and forth, and as an argument that I presented, I present an epistemic argument that the Trinity is a necessary condition for the possibility of knowledge and any knowledge claims. And if you deny that, then you self-stultification, you've refuted your... Now this Muslim didn't he kept trying to go back to the script. I'm like, because you can't respond to the argument. So that draws it out of that kind of back and forth.
Yeah, you can go to like all the problems that any monad would have. So like any argument like against, even like any argument against Neoplatonism, I think would work. And Jay has a lot of material on that, obviously. And Father Deacon as well. Yeah, I think Tag probably. There are a lot of issues that like you'd have modal collapse argument against them. It's just that that model of God doesn't work. Like mechanically, like literally, it can't work metaphysically.
Is that because of inability to know or experience him? I'm not a philosophy guy.
Well, I mean, like for example, if God's love is like an eternal quality, like who is he eternally loving, or is he just not loving eternally? Right? Yeah. In the inter-Trinitarian life, that's not a problem.
Well, and they also call, I've sort of looked up some of this stuff, and they call the one God the Father, and then you sort of like, well, was he always a father? And then if you,
that's the same argument that St. Gregory of Nyssa uses against eunomias. Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Sure. Yeah. Because that was something that came to mind when I started looking up. So they had a
maybe read Gregory of Nyssa against Eunomius. Maybe that's a good one.
Okay.
That's a little complicated, but it's if you take your time with it, you seem like a reasonably educated person. You probably make your way through it.
I can read. Yeah, I'll do my best.
I can read. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'll give that a run and see, and maybe I'll try.
Yeah, and come back and tell us how it works.
Yeah, appreciate it. Anyway,
right.
God bless, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You've heard about my Apologetics B program, right?
No.
Yeah, well, when arguments and reason don't work, I use blackmail. I win every single argument. I'm like, oh, really? Do you want your mom to find out this? I don't think so. No.
I got a $10 super chat. Can Father Deacon Ananias say a prayer for Michael Archangel 06H? Her name is Jeannie. Can we say a prayer for Jeannie?
Yes, we can. What does Jeannie need?
I think I don't want to guess. Chat, what does she need? Oh, my mom, she died. I'm very sorry to hear that.
Oh yeah, 1 second. Yes, 1 second.
She passed away last May of cancer.
You heard Joseph grieving over the death of his father Jacob as he wept and kissed him, your own son, our Lord Jesus, to him, your servant, and receive the prayer offered to you by the child who has lost his beloved mother. Forgive whatever sins she is willing or unwilling committed, whether in word or deed or thought. Be merciful, Master, the heart of a grieving voice of the one who has been taught to turn to you with true faith in the times of need, and to raise his eyes to the voice of you. Show mercy, O Lord, and grant rest to his mother, making her a partaker of the eternal blessings and granting her a place at the right hand of the blessed and glorified, now and ever, to the ages of ages. Amen.
Thank you, Father Deacon. Do you have maybe 10 more minutes for these last few callers here? Father Deacon?
Yeah, yes, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
I know it was a question. I thought it was a command.
What's up, Miguel? How
It's
are
good
you?
to see you, Father Deacon Ananias. This is really short, but back on the issue of, what do you call it? Is smoking a sin? And the mention of how if you go to a Serbian priest versus a Russian priest, smoking and consumption of vodka would be measured different, would probably get a different response. Just how culture influences how faith gets expressed. So I went to Catholic school, and every single boy knew that, if you kiss the girl, you go to the Italian priest, not to the Irish priest. And if you disrespect your mother, you go to the Irish priest and not the Italian priest. And you never, ever mix those two up. But yeah, no, it's just the what do you call it? Cultures have different values, and yeah, it does weigh in terms of how, because again, also, different cultures have different kinds of weaknesses. It's like, my family, for example, the gene that helps you need to produce the enzyme to break down alcohol. We don't, like about half my family members don't have that gene. So, alcoholism can be a serious problem. So it's, different cultures, things get expressed differently. And what, like for most people, drinking, 2-3 drinks is not a problem. But for about half my family members, drinking 2-3 drinks would be an absolute disaster. So
See,
it's,
it depends. Yeah, exactly. Like a lot
yeah.
of things, it depends.
Yeah.
Context.
Yeah. So no, that's all I had. It's,
But you know who else didn't like smoking?
Who?
Hitler.
This is true. This is true.
But
yeah, thank
Am I
you.
gonna
and
get
have-
dinged for? I should have said tiny mustache man. I'm sorry.
Or the Austrian painter? No,
The
we're
Austrian
good.
painter, yeah, I'm sorry.
We're good. I have a
Yeah.
good reputation with the YouTube people, so.
All I'll say is if someone wants to smoke, I strongly recommend pipe smoking and
Exactly.
looking into get your tobacco leaf from someone who grows it without like organically, without any of the chemical sprays that they put on the tobaccos. So like in my case, like 70 miles away from where I am, there's a bunch of Mennonites who actually grow tobacco mainly for the purpose of for pest control. Like they use it for killing and repelling some sort of wasp. But you can actually buy like straight like legit like organic tobacco from them, and you're not smoking any chemicals with the leaf. So it's just a thing to look out for. I know, like for example, the guy who wrote the Civil War trilogy, Shelby Foote, he actually developed lung cancer, and he was a cigar smoker, and his doctor told him, like, you got to stop smoking completely. And he said, well, I'll give up cigars, but I'm going to keep my pipes. And his doctors are like, that's not going to work. And he did that anyway. And, comes back a year later, and his what do you call it, lung cancer was gone, and he was still smoking his pipes. So this
this is not medical advice, people. It's just an anecdote.
Correct. So, yeah. Anyway, have a good night and blessed Holy Week.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, man. Urgle Grew, what's up, man? What's on your mind? It's the aliens. The aliens called in.
Can you guys hear me okay?
No. Sorry, man. Sorry, man. Your mic is too messed up.
That was so great, man. That was one of the best things I've heard in a long time.
Hi, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
Also, just want to say you guys are like heroes to me. I'm inquiring right now, and I'm an electrician.
Got me right in the fifties, dude.
Your guys is like 4-hour videos. Literally, I have an AirPod in all day at work, and so I just literally just go through all constantly, and I'm learning. So I really appreciate all the content that you guys put out, especially it being long, which helps me, gets the days going faster.
Really noted.
But yeah. So I got a question. I was watching a Cleave to Antiquity video, or at least I'll explain my story, or at least where I'm at right now. I come from a Protestant background, and I'm trying to find an Orthodox church. I'm in Blessed. I have a bunch of Orthodox churches around me currently, so it's not like I have to like drive 3 or 4 hours to go to one. And so since I have like a choice, like with which Orthodox church I go to, is there like stuff that I should look out for, like between like liberal clergy and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean,
the thing is, on the parish level, it's so diverse, so I like not on one end, not all of the things you see going on like between bishops is always going to trickle down to the individual parish. On the other end, you could go to some like ROCOR is like super based, right? Super based ROCOR. And I doubt they'd have any problems on the parish level, but you could potentially have one there, right? So
even if I say don't think in terms of jurisdiction. Go experience different parishes and see what's a good fit. And it may even be if unfortunate that maybe a priest holds some liberal views. It may be that it never enters into the parish, though. That's the other thing. So you've kind of got to get a feel and be like, does this ever come out? Yeah, okay, that's unfortunate, but how much does it affect my life at the day-to-day at the parish level? You're just going to have to experience that at different parishes and be like, I really like this crew, and the priest doesn't have to be perfect. You know what I mean? Because the priest isn't the church. It's all the people.
True.
So
I was watching a Cleave to Antiquity video, and he said something about like women reading. Like one of the churches I go to, the women will like they'll be like reading some of the prayers on the side.
Some of them don't have some of them don't have people. Like they don't really have options. If they, I would start my alarm would start going off when they start going behind the iconostasis.
Okay, yeah, no, none of them have done that. That's the thing up front, right?
Yes,
okay, just making sure. Yeah, they go off to the side and they'll.
I've seen that happen too. So they're not tonsured readers.
Yes,
they may not just have anybody that could do it, and it's not ideal, but it's not. I don't think it's uncanonical. Like,
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I was like, I don't think that they're obviously not going behind that, but I don't know if they're if that's considered like a frowned upon or anything like that.
Sometimes they have to. The priest,
Yeah.
I think, has the authority to decide whether or not to do that.
That makes sense. All right, well, I really appreciate it, guys. And one real quick funny story for you guys. I was debating my friend and telling him about like how I'm thinking about orthodoxy, and he sent a Joshua Shooping thing, and I was like, no, I'm not a Joshua Shooping guy, like, because his whole thing was PSA, and obviously orthodoxy doesn't teach PSA. And he's like, well, why are you anti-PSA? And I'm like, I started giving him reasons, and he's like, hey man, I'd be really careful. Denying PSA.
He's like giving you a warning.
Is denying the heart of the gospel.
That's what these guys were saying online.
It's so crazy.
I was texting my friend. I'm in a group chat with like a bunch of them, and like one of them texted and like confessed sins, and he was talking about like his confession sin. I was like, man, I should encourage him with the heart of the gospel and be like, hey man, just so you know, you're a sinner, but God hated you so much that he punished his own son, but now he loves you, and so you should be encouraged with that. I'm like, dude, that's not the heart of the gospel. There's just no way.
It's pretty ridiculous.
There's just no way. Okay, well, I really appreciate all the things you guys do, and thanks. I'll get out of you guys' hair. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Kai. Hey, Ergolgru says that he fixed his mic. He's not an alien anymore. Ergolgru, what's up, man?
Yeah, tell me if it works.
It's better, yes. What's your
All
question?
right.
What's on your mind?
All right, look, I'll move quickly. I know you've been going a long time. I just want to touch on the PSA thing. You know, I grew up in a world where PSA was the gospel, like the last caller said. And I get into these arguments online too. I mean, I can't help myself sometimes, but you know that I've seen this MO so many times of like these. You get these 18 to 20-year-old autistics. They're furries. And they're like, they use language as like a tool. They're obsessed with the written.
It's Saul Alinsky tactics. I've been talking to Father Deacon about this. It is like, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure I have the book here. Sorry, you can go on with what you're saying until I find this thing.
Well, no, yeah, like Father Deacon had a term for this, but yeah, the language is a tool. They're obsessed with the written text. They don't care about the people, the lived thing, the whole structure. They don't care about. They have the words, and the words are the thing that means something, and they're obsessed with it. And I've seen this happen in other communities. It's so odd. It's this very specific type of person, and I mean. You gotta just kind of like cut them off. And so it's like, on the one hand, you don't want to argue with them too much and like, you know, magnify this, but they have a good place to argue from, and that like, you know, the satisfaction and substitution, you know, these didn't come in for 1,000 or 1,500 years. So of course there's no church father saying, hey, by the way, we don't believe in PSA. Like no one was talking about it. Like there's, you know, so they get these quote lines where, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not there. You're right.
Yeah, and then you guys had Mar on a stream with Nikolai, and he, you know, what I realized is all of PSA stands on the idea that God must be satisfied, right? It comes out of sight, like he demands this justice. Yeah, and you asked Mar about that, and he hits you with the Protestant one-liner. You know, there's no forgiveness without the shedding of blood.
The most abstract thing in the world. Yes.
Yeah, that is the one-liner. It's like, really? We have all the saints, we have all the fathers, but you got that one line. And you brought up like forgiveness, and somebody said Nineveh, and I was reading like literally
Nikolai,
first, in Polycarp or Clement of Rome, his first letter. He says Jonah preached destruction to the men to send the destruction onto the men of Nineveh, but they repented of their sins and obtained pardon from God by their supplications.
God forgave them.
That's it. Like literally, Clement said this 2,000 years ago, and we're like, so then I was going through. I was like, you know. Irenaeus says that when he's talking about the heretics or the pagans, he says they imagine God is propitiated by sacrifice, but God only desires obedience, not sacrifices and holocausts and burnt offerings. You know, that God Irenaeus says
keep
God
reading the
stands
Psalm.
What's that?
If you keep reading the Psalm, though, you'll see that it says then after we were. After we repent, then we will have an offering, which we have today in the Eucharist and the offerings of incense.
Of course. Yeah. And Irenaeus says God stands in need of nothing. The best one of these is St. Gregory the Great. he has this famous line, and you never see this posted by these guys, right? They love to trot out Gregory. They think he's I mean, they say Gregory has this line. He says, "To whom was the blood offered that was shed for us?" I mean, he literally says this. And he says, "If the price is offered to the Father, I ask first of all, how? For it was not the Father who held us captive. Why should the blood of his only begotten Son please the Father, who would not even receive Isaac, but gave a ram instead? Is it not evident that the Father accepts the sacrifice not because he demands it or feels any need for it, but on account of the economy?" I mean, like literally, like this stuff is so old. All of the fathers reject it. I mean,
That's a pretty good one, dude.
that's a great one. And then, of course, Black Renee. I mean, I was like, at some point, I'm like, do I just need to put together our own florilegium of these stupid meme quotes? Because like it's like they can't handle more than 2 or 3 sentences. You gotta put it in 2 or 3 sentences, plucked out of. Yeah, it's crazy. Y'all are fighting the good fight. It's unbelievable the influence of like 7 or 8 teenage dudes who may or may not be Orthodox. I mean,
yes,
yeah. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good comments from that guy. What I meant by Saul Alinsky tactics, there's this guy who wrote this book, Rules for Radicals. His name is Saul Alinsky. He's a bad guy. He's a villain. He's not a good guy. This is basically all the strategy of the left since like the 90s, maybe earlier, 70s,
60s, I think.
60s. Yeah. But it's like the exact same tactics that these goblins are using. Okay, last caller. We have Chase Haggard. Say the best for last.
What up?
What's
How's
up,
it going?
Chase? How you doing, man?
I forgot
Doing
you said
good.
you were going to call in. Good to see you, bud.
Yeah, good to see you too. I did want to bring up one thing, Father and I. You brought up how a tiny mustache man also smoked, right? Well, interesting thing is, the devil also has hands, and the devil he uses them for holding, and a lot of people don't realize that. That's
yes.
It's pretty important. So careful what you do with your hands. It's funny because we've been dealing with these people for years in the discords, right, Father Ananias, just constantly. And I think part of it with the focus on PSA, I think it makes you feel righteous. It makes you feel more righteous.
You're chosen. You've been chosen.
You've been chosen.
You're the chosen one.
You're more righteous than an unborn infant or a child that hasn't had the chance to move their will away from God.
Oh, and you put it in that perspective, that sounds really bad, dude.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's a good point.
It's seriously demonic. I don't understand. Like, awesome, dude, that they want that so that they can be right. But we've seen, I'm not even going to mention, Chase knows who this is, but somebody that we had in our server, and it's always the I'm going to save the world and orthodoxy. I'm the chosen one.
That's what I was gonna bring up is there's also, this isn't an argument though. The prior caller made me think of it. It is kind of funny. There is a Euthyphro dilemma argument you can run on people that believe in PSA, but instead of the good being above God and constraining God, it's this satisfaction. It's this platonic form of satisfaction.
Yeah, God's justice. He's bound by this principle that exists outside of himself that he's bound by. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a
So
good point.
this isn't an argument. This is more just, again, experience of years of dealing with people like this is typically, I think it makes them feel self-righteous to believe in PSA. And another thing is, and they may clip this and get mad or something, but they typically don't have a life. They typically do not have a wife. I'm not knocking young men who aren't married yet or anything like that. Focus on your life. Try to, put yourself in the position to meet a good woman. I'm not knocking you, but they typically don't have a decent career, hobbies, friends to go out with and talk about things other than theology and actually live life. And the second one of those things happen, we've seen it happen with people through these multiple discords, and the main Discord server, the Orthodox Christian one, where they get a good job, they come back and they go, you know what? Like, I kind of slowed down on my autism and I realized I was wrong.
I just needed a job.
I just needed a job. I needed a hobby. I needed to go out and play pool with friends or something like that. Again, these aren't arguments, but Father and I, so you can attest
You might want to take up smoking.
Yeah, you might want to take up smoking or hand holding. But it's, if you think you're gonna save the church, you're not in a good good place to try to do that. The church doesn't need saving. Can God use you? Can God use people like Alex? Obviously, clergy like Father Ananias. Obviously, other lay people. The flamingo that Alex just showed, God can use that. Or no, it's a cat. God can use Alex's cat to bring people to Christ. But you know, nice, dude. That's a bold hold. That's a bold cat
Yeah.
hold.
He bought me in the face one time on another stream because of that, but
Yeah, but no. all right, boys, everybody calm down. But if you think you're gonna save the church, the church doesn't need saving. Your local parish needs help.
Chase, Saint Athanasius the Great was 17.
But
he was 17.
Great, and God used him. And God used him, but did he use him thinking, I'm gonna save the church, I'm so great?
Well, the other thing they don't realize, that there was some lost kind of texts that basically had proven that there was only there's a limited amount of 17-year-olds who actually could do that. So they're actually used up. It's sort of like the Jehovah's Witness 144,000.
Oh, there aren't any left.
Yeah, like, can you imagine being like the one guy that's right under that? Like you're the, you're the
144,001st
one. You're like, oh man, you just made it. So, anyways, you can't appeal to them because there was only God only created 3 in the entire cosmos, 17-year-olds that were capable of that, and they're all used up. So, you're not gonna get me on that argument.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just it's we've seen it for years, you know, and it's nothing new. There's gonna be more and more people like this with other goofy positions as Orthodoxy continues to grow in the West. And just asking them the basic epistemic question. Okay, well, so you can't tell me a priest or bishop that agrees with you and your interpretation of these texts. How do you know you're interpreting them correctly? Just that simple epistemic question just ends it all. And you know, I hope people have a good Holy Week. I've been staying away from any stuff like this all Lent for myself. Not saying it's bad to engage in it during Lent. I'm not saying that. Just for myself, I'm just tired of it. But the fight's a good fight.
Yes,
it's important, you know. And thanks for having me up. I really appreciate the time.
All right.
Word.
Bless
Thanks, Chase.
God bless you, brother.
All right. Just we have naval orange gazers. I would make processing for the saints illegal if I was in charge. Doug Wilson. Yeah,
Isn't
that's
Doug
pretty...
Wilson the same one that wants Christian nationalism? That's the sort of Christian nationalism you get. Like, you'd lock us all up.
Yeah. Octavian with 5 gifted. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Silver Ogre, free milestone. Thank you for the 4 months membership. I appreciate that. Silver, $5 from Silver, and then another $5 from Silver. We know who they are serving when we read the dedication and rules for radicals. Okay. Personal acknowledgments to Jason Epstein for his prodding patience and understanding, to Cicely Nichols for the hours of editorial assistance, Susan Rabiner for being the shock absorber between the corporate structure of Random House and the writer.
Chakra absorber.
Chakra. To Georgia Harper, my heartfelt gratitude for the months of typing and typing, staying with me through the years, getting this book together. And then there's to Irene. So, I don't know. That's it. Guys, thank you so much for the super chats. Father Deacon, you've been very generous with your time. I appreciate that. But we're going to close it out here, guys. There's Rokor, Right, and Goose. You guys can call into the next stream. I'm sorry. We gotta end it at some point. Otherwise, we'll be handcuffed here, and we can't do anything.
Yeah.
So,
I gotta go teach tomorrow. So
yeah, that's right. So, Father Deacon, I'll let you have the last word on this one. You know, final thoughts on the topic, and then where everybody can find you. I think they probably know you already at this point, but go ahead.
Final thoughts. Geez, that's a hard one.
We talked about a lot.
You know, just recommendations. Just, you know, plug into an incarnational community that is your church in person. Listen to your priest and spiritual father. Well, none of us are infallible. But it's sort of like saying, I always say this, doctors, medical doctors, are not infallible in their art of medicine. But if a 17-year-old's like, well, I could actually do heart surgery. You need heart surgery? And I said, what are your credentials? Well, I've read all the same books the doctors have. Maybe they could get it right. Would you risk it? Well, the doctors could get it wrong. I know, but the prescribed way is, aren't we a lot safer doing that? So I kind of use that analogy too. Like, any of us could be wrong, but like, that's the prescribed way. That's the way that we read the fathers. That's the way we learn theology. So anyways, if you haven't signed up for MontaNika, please do. Tickets are selling fast. We have great lineup of speakers, and hope to see all of you up here for a blessed time that's incarnational, Trinitarian, communal, and beautiful ascetics of Montana.
John Mondragon says, this is my first Lent and it has been kicking my ass. Thank you for people like you guys are helping. But